It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis has the week off. Don't worry, Danny Sullivan's here from Search Engine Land. Our own Mike Elgan will talk about the latest news from Google and, of course, Twitter and, of course, Facebook. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 305, recorded Wednesday, June 17th, 2015, from Dingo to Hero. This Week in Google is brought to you by LegalZoom. If you're looking to incorporate, form an LLC, get a trademark, or more, LegalZoom can help you get started the right way. LegalZoom's not a law firm, but can connect you with an independent attorney. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TWIG in the referral box at checkout this month for your special discount. And by Squarespace. Squarespace is the best way to create a beautiful website or online store. Start your trial before June 30th to get a free year of custom email and business tools on their professional or business plan. Plus, enter offer code TWIG and get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful. And by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting and invoicing solution designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we talk about Google, Twitter, Facebook, the cloud, and whatever the heck else this great panel, this esteemed panel wants to talk about. Jeff Jarvis is on the road. Mike Elgan is here, our news director from TNT. Nice to see you, Mike.
Esteemed might be pushing it,
Esteemed news director.
I'll take whatever I can get.
I'm all steamed up. Great to have you, Mike. And Danny Sullivan from Search Engine Land and Marketing Land. It's great to have you back. Welcome.
Great to be back.
Good to see you. I always say, can we get Danny on? Can we get Danny on? I like Danny.
Yeah.
There's nobody. How long have you been doing Search Engine Land?
Search Engine Land I've been doing since end of 2006, and then I had done the Search Engine Watch site since like 1996.
So
it's
your 10th
about
anniversary's coming up.
10 and 20 next
10
year.
and 20. Wow, that's a long. 96. There hardly were any websites in 96.
Alta Vista, man.
Alta Vista. There's a great thing I put on Instagram that did really well. It was if you ever watch Veep, there's the chief of staff in there, and they find something on Google, and he's like, "Oh man, I hate the internet. I liked it better when it was just Alta Vista."
I love Veep. Oh, get me started on Veep. I'm sad. No game. What am I going to do Sunday nights? No Game of Thrones. No Silicon Valley. No Veep.
Don't watch Sense8. It's terrible.
Is it?
It's terrible.
Really?
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that it's terrible. I liked it at first, and then minor spoiler. It's kind of like Lost.
Oh, that's not what I need.
It's kind of weird, and you're kind of like, ooh, that's weird. And then I just think they're not going. I think it's going to end up being a dream the whole time.
Somebody said Game of Thrones. Everybody's going to die and end up on the island and Lost, and then go on with Lost.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Big reveal. It's the same show.
It's the same show.
You can catch up on Orphan Black.
Love Orphan Black, although somebody
good.
told me the new season is not as good.
It's been different. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
The acting of the lead character is so good that it's like it makes up for any faults it might have. She is so good. She
really is good.
Every imaginable character.
She really is good. How are we talking about TV? I don't know how that happened, but
I don't know.
As geeks, we like to watch TV.
Because we got Under the Dome coming back, so therefore we can expose
no.
We can know Under the Dome is great. I know where it's the Google show, but you have to watch Under the Dome because you have never seen Microsoft product placement like you will see in that show. They set off bombs with their Windows Phone. Microsoft Surface is everywhere. I'm interested to see if they manage to get the Surface Pro 3 through the Dome finally, because they're still on old Surface 2s.
That's so funny.
But it's funny because I like the ads too, because you get all that stuff, and then even Google occasionally will buy an ad, and sometimes
some
you get
counter programming.
Yeah.
Does Google do product placement? I don't think I've ever seen an Android intentional product placement.
I don't think so.
Look at my fine Android phone.
They should. No, they shouldn't.
I can't recall a lot of that.
No.
It doesn't come to mind. It's kind of like with Apple too, where supposedly they don't do product placement.
They say
just
they
make
won't pay for
they make the
it.
devices available for people
Yeah.
who want it.
Their
They say
partners do.
We don't pay for it.
Right. Well, Apple says they just
If
give
you give
everybody
me 100 MacBooks, that's paying for it.
one
trust
Apple
me.
product is a lot of money. But yeah, Samsung does it. Bunch of companies.
Yeah.
Nokia used to do it.
Yeah, Nokia. Remember in the first Star Trek reboot?
Yeah.
Well, Google did have one notable product placement, and that would be the movie The Internship.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Oh,
But other than that, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie, by the way. So
It's hilarious.
It's
good.
It's worth seeing. I don't know if hilarious is the word I'd use. You liked it?
I liked it. I'm a sucker for
worth
that.
seeing.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's kind of
exactly
fun.
it's exactly what you'd expect to get from it. It's you've seen that kind of movie before
Yeah.
with Vince Vaughn or whatever.
Yeah, Vince Hangover in Google.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is interesting, though, is I've never seen, and this will get back to Google, but I'll shut up, but they have never spent as much money on commercials, especially for search, as I have seen them do over this past year.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of that really feels like it is that run up to, we don't know what's going to happen with Apple, and we really want to make sure you're using the Google search app because we want to keep you locked in.
Well, let's talk about that because it's pretty obvious now that Apple is running as fast as it can away from Google. Was it you who wrote that article? I think
was me.
was.
It was me who wrote that article.
What's synopsize? You say the end is near.
There are two factors that are causing us the world to change in such a way that people like me, who loves running Google stuff on Apple hardware, are numbered. So basically what's happening is, number one, we are becoming increasingly reliant and falling increasingly in love with our virtual assistants.
Yeah.
Google Now and Siri, okay? Increasingly, those are becoming more powerful by using more products from the company that makes it. So, for example, with Google Now, they just launched Now on Tap, which is only for Android. So suddenly, it already required Google Calendar, Gmail, other Google products.
There's a difference. I think Google would have it available on Apple. It's just the way Apple constructs iOS. You can't do that kind of thing. But I think Google would love. I mean, it's clear. Unlike Windows Phone, Google wants to be on Apple.
Yeah.
They realize they need to be.
That's true.
Although if you read that great book about Google Dogfight, they talk about how there was a debate. Andy Rubin did not want to make. He was very upset when he heard they were making apps for Apple. He said, no, you should only make apps for Android. But in fact, some of the best Apple apps were Google apps.
And some of the most lucrative advertising opportunities are on iOS devices.
Right.
Because those are the people who spend more on average. The other factor, of course, is that, and I addressed that very point in the column, is that Apple is deliberately trying to replace Google. If you look at the new Spotlight features, this stuff is designed for you to just never have to use Google. You just run your search in Spotlight.
It uses Bing if it has to do a web search. It doesn't use
Absolutely.
Google. The real question is, at what point does Safari stop defaulting to Google? Is that the kind of the last place Apple?
I think it's a certainty that that's going to happen at some point.
Right.
You know, and so.
But is that what you see? That's, to me, that puts the lie to what Apple says, which is we put users first. Really, users want Google, don't they? They don't want Bing. I don't hear anybody clamoring, oh, please make the default search be Bing.
Apple just doesn't trust anyone, and they think that in the future, if they don't control every aspect, you know, they're digging up their own iron ore to make their, you know, devices and stuff. They don't trust anybody, and they constantly eliminate partners. I think the most extreme example, though, of Apple trying to replace Google is now they have Street View cars driving around, taking pictures in the UK and in 13
But
states
Apple Maps is another example of where they didn't do the best thing for the consumer, which would be, you know, not do their own weak version of Maps, but let consumers continue to use Google Maps, which they like.
Yeah.
Of course, they haven't blocked Google's apps. I mean, that would be the final draconian step, is to say, no, you can't use Google's apps.
I mean, part of it is Apple just doesn't like the whole API concept. In order for them to sort of like get away from Google altogether, they've got these hooks from Siri directly into Apple Maps, from the Apple Watch into Apple Maps, and so on. In order for that to be an open API that other companies could use, that would run counter to what Apple likes to do. They want all that to happen behind the scenes, invisibly, and that's how they define the user experience. We control everything. We make sure everything works perfectly and flawlessly without you having to configure anything. And that means we have to build everything from scratch.
And they somewhat misrepresent the case, saying, well, we're doing this to protect your privacy. Yeah, protect your privacy from Google, but
Yeah.
Apple sells ads. Apple, in order to do news, has to collect information about what you're reading, despite what they say. But you make at the end the kind of the ultimate point, which is we're all going to have to choose.
Yeah.
There will be the left-hand path and the right-hand
right.
path. There will be, if you want Google, you're going to have to go Android. If you want Apple, you're going to have to go iPhone.
Right. As somebody who used an Android device for a long time, then switched to iPhone when the iPhone 6 came out, I was struggling with the concept of using Google Now on iPhone already, and
it's you have to open the app.
Pretty good, but it's not quite there. And now with the major changes that both Apple has done with its preemptive search and all that kind of stuff, and the things that Google has done with Now on Tap, I'm going to get if I try to use Google Now on iPhone, it's going to be such an inferior experience compared to Siri on iPhone or compared to Google Now on Android, that I'm not going to make that choice. I'm going to choose one phone or the other, and I'm going to go with the virtual assistant that's made by the same people who made the operating system.
Okay, so using an iPhone now, you're going to stick with the iPhone?
No, I may go all the way. I may go all the way Google.
I love Google Now.
Yeah.
Danny, do you feel like Google Now is living up to its potential, though? It feels like it could do so much more, doesn't it?
I think it's far ahead of any of the competitors. I think there is more it can do, and I think that they will continue to do it.
Are they worried about going too far, crossing the creepy line?
Well, I think that's part of it. When I've talked with them, one of the things that they've also said is that it's not so much that they want to go far; it's that it's easy to try to do things that people don't actually want or use. And now I can't think of good examples of that, but that they can try to. There's all sorts of things people think their assistant should do, and then there are some of the things that they wouldn't actually use that much. There are some things that they might think, oh, that's a bit too eerie, and then there's sort of the just right area, and that's what they're trying to get to. And I think they've been very good on doing the just right stuff. But sometimes you can see it go a little out of control, like. One of the powerful things is that it's understanding things you've searched for. So it will suggest articles that you've looked for. But then sometimes I can feel a bit overwhelmed, like, wow, I don't need all these articles. You're giving me like way too many, that sort of thing. But in other things, it does really well. So, I think they're on the right path. And I think, for me, this has been one of the most exciting things actually is watching this development of predictive search. And even with the stuff that Apple rolled out last week, it doesn't really come close to touching what Google Now does because they don't have the search history and they don't have the access into your email. And that's the trade-off you're getting. If you want an assistant, whether it's a human assistant or a virtual assistant that is effective, they're going to be more effective the more they know about you. So it's a matter of how much you trust. And at some point, maybe Apple will try to go through and do more of the, okay, we will go ahead and start reading your email and all this other stuff and hope the fact that they're not trying to necessarily target ads specifically around it may help people make that kind of a choice. But there's still a lot of learning that they need to do. And they just don't have that kind of learning that Google's established so far.
We often argue on other shows, and this show too, about privacy, about Google, about whether Google knows too much, whether people should worry. Nobody debates, I think, the right of anybody to say, I want to be more private.
Yeah.
But some of us say, don't push that too far because I would, if you're concerned, you have the right to be private, but don't tell me I have to be private. I'd like to give Google those signals because I like what I get from Google and I find that valuable.
Right.
And if I do that, that's to my detriment. But I don't. What I'm afraid of is that technophobes or people who are worried about protecting their privacy will shut down a lot of great stuff because they think, well, nobody should be allowed to do that.
One of the problems is that the public isn't equipped technologically or intellectually to really fully grapple with what's happening with their data in the world in general. It's very complicated. Part of the reason is that information is not public or available to anyone because these are trade secrets to a very large extent. But there's another element to this that I think is a good thing to introduce into the conversation, which is that, Danny was talking about the advertising that Google's been doing. It's an old cliche that you are the product if it's advertiser supported. And I don't really, that's not really accurate. I don't really believe that's fully accurate, even though I've said it in a column long ago. But it is true that one of the things that they are doing to make a better product is to make a better user. In other words, companies like Facebook and Google succeed to the extent that they can convince the public to go along with and accept and enjoy the changes that they're affecting in people's lives in terms of privacy and other things. So the quicker Google or Facebook or some other company can get you to accept the data harvesting that they're doing, the more successful they're going to be financially. And Apple has its own way of doing things. Apple has done things in the past that are just blatantly designed to train users like lab rats. I mean, for example, one of my favorite examples is when the iPhone came out, the radical thing about it, which everybody whined about, was the lack of a keyboard. Oh, I can't type on this on-screen keyboard. This is terrible. I'm never going to accept this. And Apple not only refused to make a physical keyboard to go with it, they refused to let anyone else do it either. They forced us 3 years in the wilderness or something like that with zero keyboard except the on-screen keyboard. When we all accepted it, then they said, okay, other keyboards can come out that support this. They trained us to use on-screen keyboards. Nobody else could have done it. They did it. They made a better user. And that's one of the reasons why they're a leader in multi-touch interfaces, because they made users become more adaptable to the things that they're doing.
What do you think, Danny?
Well, I agree on that. I think that's a great observation on the whole keyboard thing. And it's one of the advantages that Apple has in that they control the entire thing because it's a closed system. So
it's good we have both.
You're going to do what you want. You're right. And, at the same time, you had Android, and if you did want the keyboard and you didn't want to change over, you could go with it from there. I think that is the downside, though. Sometimes people don't want to be trained to do something different, and they're happy with what they're doing. So it's nice that you have those alternatives. And I think that goes to the whole idea of, well, will we be choosing, based off of what I can get from Apple's cloud and what they do for their assistant versus Google? I guess I'm more optimistic, or that I don't know that people are necessarily choosing their phones for the data that's behind them. I think people are still stuck in the mindset of, I'm buying the iPhone because it has some apps I like, or I'm used to the interface, or I just like Apple products and it syncs with a few things there, or I'm buying Apple for this other reason. That's not to take away that some people are really deeply embedded in the ecosystems, but I just don't know that people right now are going to consciously think, well, I would want to get Android because Google now is so much better on that. I think that's a real minority of the people that are there. Maybe it'll change. What I think is going to happen, and it's this piece I've been noodling for some time, is sort of like, it's talking about the Google search phone, and that what you're seeing happen, especially on Android, but even with Google's products on any of the devices, is that they are leveraging their search to turn these into search phones, not smartphones. That they have the ability to let you search and locate information in a way that, takes the virtual search box that we're used to on Google itself and puts it into your hand and allows you to go around. And one of the interesting things they demonstrated last week was this idea that, if you're standing in front of it, and they did this in Paris, and I tried it out myself, where I was, you stand in front of the Eiffel Tower and you just tell your phone, how tall is it? And you can do this on iPhone
Does
or
that work?
Android. Yeah, and it came back and said it's, 178 meters.
You say, how tall is it? And if you're in proximity to the Eiffel Tower, it says, oh, that.
What if you say, how big is it?
It can do some of that stuff as well. So we had I
didn't know it did that.
Well,
Jason
no one
Howell's
really
going,
did
yep.
Yeah, no, we talked about it a little bit on last week's show,
had no
right? The
idea.
location, the proximity sensor, knows where you are via GPS, and it can add context as a result. Like, what's the phone number of this place? And it would pull back the phone number of Twit is
that makes
blah,
sense.
blah, blah.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about that.
And Apple can try to do some of that stuff as well, but I think that it's really powerful in the sense that you think, oh, that makes sense, and it seems very natural, and yet that would be an incredibly hard thing for a search engine to have done until we tied it to a mobile device, and until you can tie it into a whole database of information. And that's what Google has. They've got their knowledge graph, their knowledge vault, they've got all this search data that they've picked up. And so when we talk about what Apple may do, 2 years ago, I wrote about how they wouldn't go thermonuclear on Google. What they would do is they'd build out something maybe like the Siri search engine, and over time you would see that disappear. And I think that Jason nailed it very well, Calacanis, in his piece, where he said it's Spotlight, and that they didn't call it the Siri search engine, but that's what Spotlight has happened. It has turned into this replacement, and I think that you will see them. If they just the Google deal should have been up by now. So as best we can tell, because they said they're still talking, it's probably been extended for a few months. But yeah, I think that they could turn Google off and a lot of people wouldn't notice because a lot of the general searching you do tends to be, well, it's not that much of a
Spotlight doesn't say, here's a Google search result.
No, it doesn't. And that's
so you don't even know.
You get away from users thinking you dropped Google because you didn't drop Google, you added Spotlight. Right. And you've been adding Spotlight over the past couple of years, or past 2 years, you've built out the Spotlight search engine. So if Apple does it and they announce new Spotlight search and Safari is powered by Spotlight search or has Spotlight search, and they may even be calling it that already, you don't think that they've switched off Google. You don't think I'm not getting Google. And the Bing results, when you get into the web search results, are probably good enough for a lot of things you're doing as well.
That's just tricking people, basically. That's like,
but it's kind of the Apple way. I mean, Google's approach to search is search. This is search. We are doing search. Are you feeling lucky? And then Apple's way is like, you can find things.
Right.
It's like they're not even forget about
and
Google.
that is how people think of search. That's what people want search to be, right? They don't.
What'll happen is Apple will successfully get you off of using Google search and Safari over to Spotlight search, but all they've done is made you start using a Google clone from 2008.
Yeah.
Over on Google, they're doing Google 2015, which has the direct answers, which has the predictive searches, which has all this other stuff that's going on with it from there that ties you in. And that is the harder thing for them to try to replicate. And that maybe will be the thing that causes people to come into it. If not switching off from their Android device, just switching over to the Google search app, because maybe they get used to having all this stuff at hand and it's nice for them.
Have you played with SoundHound's new search, natural language search? It's called Hound.
I haven't.
They said they were going to send me an invitation. I never got it. You've heard about it, though. You've seen the demos, right?
Vaguely. It sounds somewhat familiar, but there's so many different people who talk about natural language search.
And I first poo-pooed it. Oh, good. Here's my invite. Don't show my activation code.
Nope. Yeah, I was going to send you an invite, actually.
You have one? Have you played with it?
I haven't. The few times that I have, I didn't have very good results.
Oh.
So I just haven't found the time to go back.
It does seem like a silly thing to try to beat Google at their own game, right?
That's a tall order.
And yet I'd seen some stuff that people talking about it. Maybe that's just good marketing.
I think what people have said about it is that it makes for a good demo, like when you watch the videos.
Right.
But then when you really try and kind of go off on your own and come up with, try and stump it, it's pretty easy to stump.
But Hound's kind of like Spotlight in that way. And I think that actually is what people want. People don't want to do search. They just want the answers to things that they're looking for available when they need them, right?
Right.
So
I'm looking over the TechCrunch thing that they did on SoundHound, and they're like saying, hey, look, you can do a bunch of searches in rapid succession. Let me tell you, the director of conversational search from Google did this, right? I mean, we're not talking, I've got a startup or I've got a thing that maybe I can use if I get the invite and we'll see how it happens. He stood there live in front of an audience and probably went through 40 different queries and would do things like, who is LeBron James? What team does he play for? What was his score? Not even full sentences, but understanding the previous question that you had said, in the way that I guess Hound can do that sort of thing as well. And it was working near flawlessly. And then coupled with that, I mean, he went through the stuff that a couple years ago you would have thought was amazing, that it could just give you answers like that with him just speaking. But then, he would do things like, and this goes back to the location thing, where he's like, call the conference center I'm in. And it knew the conference center he was in, it found the phone number, dialed it up, and, it was like, whoa. So it's, I guess these things could come along, but Google's already got it. and Google has it so much that we either don't realize that it's there or we just take it for granted. So.
Well, Hound has the same problem that Google does on Apple. You have to launch the Hound app for it to, and then say, "Okay, Hound, how many calories are in 3 eggs, 200 grams of spinach, and a pound of hamburger?"
There are 1387 calories in 3 medium raw whole eggs, 200.
That's pretty fast.
That's good. That's really good.
What did you ask it?
I asked it a compound search, which was how many calories are in 3 raw whole eggs, 200 grams of spinach, and a pound of hamburger.
But see,
and it did that within less than...
How many calories are in 3
3 eggs. So try that with Google. Should we try that with Google? Here, I'll do the same.
Yeah, I can't remember all the different things you said.
Okay, let's see here. I'll do this with Google. Let's go to Google. Oops.
So one of the things, first of all, the search you just did and the result was a glimpse of the future. We're not going to be pondering over results. We're going to just get the answer. And that answer,
by the way, it's a very nice answer, too, because they give me all the nutrition facts. And
although
okay, Google. Wait a minute. Oh, I got to enable it. Hold on. Oh, and I shouldn't say it because everybody, I'm sorry, everybody. How many calories are in 3 whole eggs, a pound of hamburger, and 200 grams of broccoli?
It's already slower. But
didn't give me a very good result, and it didn't do it very fast.
No.
So there's one thing it does better. Not that I'm going to launch Hound to do that. But it also does, so it does compound searching, which is kind of interesting. You can say, give me, here, let's try it. Okay, Hound, give me all the bed and breakfasts in San Francisco that are 4 stars or more and less than $200 a night. I got a little extra garbage in there. Whoops, and it's still going. Something about Carcassonne.
And it has a little bit of extra garbage.
Yeah. Give me all the bed and breakfasts in San Francisco that are 3 stars or better and less than $200 a night. It doesn't like $200. Oh my God. Oh shoot. Stop talking. Let's see. Let's see if it makes any sense out of that compound.
Showing search results for all the bed and breakfasts in San Francisco that are 3 stars or better and less than $200 a night and like $200.
It actually at least kind of it made an effort.
Yeah.
By the way, it also has an ad.
Yeah.
What are the results like though?
Yeah, mostly it's just search.
I think it's good that it wasn't thrown by your colloquialism for
whatever
dollars.
I was saying there. That's crazy.
See, I mean, if you go back to the results, though, yeah, it interpreted what you searched for, but it didn't actually give you an answer.
Yeah, no, it didn't give me the answer as I expected it to. Just checking through. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, anyway. That's Hound. And it's from the SoundHound folks, which is kind of interesting. I guess my surprise is I wouldn't expect anybody to attempt to enter this space. You've already got
you'd have
Cortana,
to be nuts.
Google, and Siri.
Yeah, but that's amazing.
And by the way, Amazon, which does a pretty decent job with Echo.
That's right. But that is fast, and so is Echo, by the way.
Yeah,
Echo is
fast,
really
too.
fast.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, Google's a laggard. What are they?
What's going on with it?
Makes
Google
them think they can compete.
Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, you probably covered this in All About Android last night. 600,000 Samsung phones vulnerable.
No, we didn't.
To a keyboard.
Actually didn't make it into the show last night.
Oh, well, we'll talk about it.
It was overlooked.
Keyboard flaw. That SwiftKey says it's not our fault. Our show today brought to you by LegalZoom.com. There's so many so many reasons why smart business people trust LegalZoom, including me. We used them to form an LLC 10 years ago. You could do the same. Incorporate, form a nonprofit, register your trademark, apply for a patent. More than 1 million people over the last 10 years have used LegalZoom to kind of make their dreams come true. It's also your first stop when you need advice from an attorney. Now, see, this is why it gets a little complicated. They're not a law firm. And there are no attorneys, to answer your calls at LegalZoom, but they have built a network of independent attorneys in most states to provide legal advice and other useful services to help you run your business. That's the pre-negotiated LegalZoom legal plan, which is great. Whether you need a contract reviewed or advice on whether you should incorporate or form an LLC, or, as I wondered, what state my LLC should be in, LegalZoom.com. Complete transparency, upfront pricing, customer reviews, and a 100% guarantee on your satisfaction.
What state did you choose, by the way? Delaware?
I chose Delaware, but that's because this was before LegalZoom had the attorney thing, and I would have loved that because there are pros and cons on California versus Delaware.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I randomly chose Delaware.
Delaware's cheaper.
And apparently less encumbering. And the main reason I did it, which in hindsight seems stupid, I think it was Kevin probably who told me venture capitalists prefer Delaware. Because I guess because of the less onerous legal requirements.
I see.
But there are advantages to California. For instance, we pay extra business tax because we have to pay Delaware as well as California business
Right.
tax. See, these are the kinds of things LegalZoom can help you with, and it's great. And wills and trusts and all of that stuff, too. LegalZoom.com for a special offer, $10 off. Use the promo code TWIG at checkout, and that's going to let them know you heard about it here. LegalZoom, we love it. .com. You give it a try. Samsung, I have a Samsung Galaxy S6, one of the vulnerable phones. A statement by a company called Now Secure in the Wall Street Journal says, even though we told Samsung in 2012 this bug persists, I'm sorry,
In
November 2014, this bug persists that is with the Samsung keyboard. Now, the Samsung keyboard is SwiftKey, but it is not SwiftKey's fault. In fact, SwiftKey says if you install the SwiftKey keyboard and use that from the App Store, it is not. You will not have this flaw. Last week, 2 researchers from Now Secure to see if Samsung said, okay, wait 3 months and we'll fix it. 3 months are up. They bought 2 Galaxy S6s, found that both were still vulnerable to the security hole, which involves how the phone accepts data when updating keyboard software, particularly the themes. So the themes can come from they come from a non-secure server, and that server can be spoofed. So you can install a theme on your keyboard, and it may, in fact, put a keystroke logger on there.
TechCrunch had a few sources that said that it was entirely Samsung's implementation screw-up that caused it.
Well, the chief source of that would probably be SwiftKey, which is anxious to let you know that this is not a vulnerability that belongs to SwiftKey.
Yeah.
They wrote, we supply Samsung with the core technology that powers the word predictions in their keyboard. It appears that the way this technology was integrated on Samsung devices introduced the security vulnerability. We're doing everything we can to support our longtime partner in their efforts to resolve this. Samsung says Knox, their security platform, has the capability to update the security policy of the phones over the air, and I think invisibly, to invalidate any vulnerabilities. They say these security policy updates will roll out in a few days. So you're looking on the screen, those of you watching, at the proof of concept from the security researchers Now Secure who discovered this.
I thought that's their video, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See what happens here?
I was so impressed that you guys have managed to set
Look at
this
this.
up.
I have set up an incredible demonstration.
I'm horrified. It was so easy for you to see.
No, this is their video. Absolutely. For clarity, SwiftKey wants to assure everyone this issue does not affect SwiftKey's consumer keyboard applications on Google Play or the Apple Store, for that matter. And we're absolutely committed, blah, blah, blah. So this is a Samsung problem. But something I guess you should be aware about. So Nest had an event on yesterday, right on the 15th or the 16th. Or is it today?
That was today. Today
it was
10
today.
a.m. Yep. It was during TNT.
During TNT. They announced a new smoke detector. They had pulled the old one off the market because apparently if you waved at it too vigorously, it'd say, okay, I guess you don't want to know.
For example, if there's a fire.
I don't want to know. You don't want to know? No problem. I won't bother you again. So the second generation smoke detector, also called the Nest Protect, detects smoke. 2, in fact, split spectrum sensors. It says it can read shorter wavelengths because modern materials burn faster. It also lets you silence the smoke alarm, but not by waving your arms.
Yep.
You have to use your app.
Better charge your phone.
It's also 11% smaller. This is the thinnest smoke detector we've ever made. There's a new smoke chamber to keep dusts and insects out of it. Okay. Didn't know that was a problem. $99 though. Right now, how much is a First Alert? Like the cheapo smoke detector is like $15.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't wave at them.
I'll pay anything so that at 2 o'clock in the morning I don't have to go trying to figure out which one is.
That is true. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. The new Protect
like because I said they're doing our house, so it was like clear everything out of that house, and I have a box of smoke detectors and carbon dioxide monoxide detectors, and I looked at this box, right, because there's like one by every bedroom and everything like that, and I thought, God, if I had to replace all that with Nest, that's a huge investment. And then when it dies, but
That's true.
But it's convenient, you know, if you see something happening at home. So.
Does your smoke detector constantly test itself?
I love this. I love this. It actually makes an audible alert at night, and then it listens.
It listens. Do I hear it?
It doesn't constantly detect itself, right? But I could hang 2 of them up next to each other for $20, and now I mean,
double the protection. Yeah.
But seriously, it's like I don't have just one smoke detector in the house, right? I have 5 of them. I think I had at least 5. So, you know, for the carbon monoxide testing, I mean, I'm absolutely paranoid about that because you hear these horror stories of people who just don't realize it happens.
Okay, so but you should have both smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, absolutely.
Yeah.
But will your carbon monoxide protector talk to the Nest thermostat and say, turn the heat off?
Right. There's a fire. There's no need for additional heat.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, the best thing was, what was it?
That's right. See if we can blow it out.
It's warm in here. Maybe you should turn the heat down.
It was Marketing Tunes or whatever. It was like I keep getting ads from Google about fire in my house. I think they're trying to tell me something.
We noticed you don't have a smoke detector. No, if the carbon monoxide detector goes off, usually carbon monoxide is a cracked exchange plate in the heater or something like that. So they turn off the heater, and it'll also alert you on your phone. There's a new safety temperature feature. If your home gets too hot or too cold, you'll get a notification. Jesus, it's hot in here.
Yeah. You must be very uncomfortable. You must be freezing right now.
But that's actually good for pets, if it's too hot for pets, or if it's too cold and the pipes might burst. And there's a new drop cam.
That's right.
I'm actually more interested, frankly, in the new drop cam.
Well, the drop cam actually has a feature that they didn't announce, but it was in the fine print in the press release and so on. And that is that they are going to be working with a few select content creators to do live streaming to YouTube from this, what's called a Nest Cam. They dropped the drop in the drop cam.
It's a Nest Cam.
Nest Cam. And so some people are going to be using it for sort of like...
Streaming video?
Streaming video.
Watch me. Yeah, this Recode discovered this. And it's using Brillo.
Yeah.
Nest revealed it is leaning on Google, the device company partnering with 2 Google divisions, a promotional program for its thermostat for customers of Google Fiber. Well, that leaves me out. Austin, Kansas City, and Provo. Good news.
They get a $50. Yeah.
Big deal. And by the way, Fiber will expand to 18 additional metropolitan areas in January. But it's not a business. We're just, we're just fooling around.
But so the Nest Cam, you have to, because I'm looking at it on now, you have to subscribe with it to have it keep the video? Like what?
Yeah,
like
that's always.
What if you don't buy it?
Dropcam's always been like that. If you want, but because you can always check the Dropcam live, even if you don't subscribe. But what the subscription does is give you a DVR, an offsite cloud DVR, so you can go back in time. We were doing that. We had the Dropcams watch the studio while we were building it, and that's how we got the famous butt crack video. I don't need to say much more about that.
So if you don't have the subscription, though, you don't get, like, you get the live video and that's it?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Well, what do you want for nothing? Rubber biscuit?
For nothing. It's like a $200 camera.
I'll tell you what I want. I want them to email me.
Local computer.
The Nest Cam is pretty good. 1080p. Are we gonna? We don't use drop cams anymore, but I like, now they say select YouTube partners, so not just anybody can do this, right? Oh, sorry, I got a big takeover here. I don't know. I think they're very attractive.
Yeah.
$200 is not horrible. It's basically a drop cam pro, 1080p video, 130-degree field of view, infrared night vision. It has a microphone, and it also has a speaker, right, John? You could talk to it, but you sound like, oh, what are you doing in my house? Hey, can you hear me? What are you doing in my house?
It's like ordering a burger at McDonald's. So, I mean, actually the cloud storage is pretty expensive. 10-day video history, so it goes back 10 days.
Yeah.
It's $100 a year. A 30-day video history is $300 a year.
Yeah, it's a little pricey.
That's a lot of money.
Think of our Ring doorbell, which is $30 a year.
Yeah.
But the difference is the Dropcam's saving everything all the time. The Ring only saves when there's motion, right?
Yeah.
So so it's saving a lot of. There's a lot of video it's saving.
Right.
But I feel like this is an opportunity for somebody else to come along and say, hey, we're going to give you a better deal on the storage. All right.
Google. I mean, imagine Google. They have all that storage, and they seem like they own Nest, right?
But they're not giving it away.
Well, but you know what? I mean, it is kind of weird, right? You would think that if you have a Google account, this is actually a case where you would think it would be nice if Nest and Google talked to each other.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you know, I suppose $100 a year for 10 days, but
That's not bad.
but
10
you know,
days is enough, by the way. You don't need more
Yeah,
than
but if
10
you
days.
get, you know, I was looking at some of these other home security things like from AT&T or whatever, they drop everything everywhere and they have monthly subscriptions and you might actually get more things. But anyway, I don't know.
I know what you mean, though. I got 3/4 of a terabyte sitting there unused.
Right. Well, we
Let's
use
that.
local storage for our cameras. We use Synology as a security camera solution, and it records.
Oh, by the way,
all the
you got to
time.
search for this for me. It's really funny. Search for Market Tunis. So it's market, the word market, and then OONIST, and then Nest.
OONIST and Nest.
Yeah, all one word.
Okay.
Well, you might find it anyway. See Nest.
I don't know how to use Google, Danny, so thank you for
Put that Market Tunis together. There we go.
the Internet
Click
of
on
Things
Internet of Things
cartoon.
Yeah.
Tom Fishburne. I think my Nest smoke alarm is going off. Google AdWords just pitched me a fire extinguisher and an offer for temporary housing. That's ultimately why we want to share this information with Google. Right there. That's a convenience. That's a convenience. Okay. Let's see. OnePlus is slowly leaking out details of the next version of their phone, the OnePlus 2. They're really up to their same old marketing tricks, aren't they, Jason Howell? The OnePlus 2.
I think they believe that it works for them. And
It must.
It does.
I mean, it does when you take a look at kind of what a previously unknown hardware manufacturer was able to do with the OnePlus One. They had their hiccups along the way, but they still generated a lot of excitement for the device, even with all of those marketing blunders.
Not much of a surprise. They're saying it'll run the newest Qualcomm Snapdragon, the 810. Although Samsung eschewed the 810 for the Exynos, saying it's too hot. And by the way, I got to tell you, as an owner of Galaxy S6, as much as I love this phone, it has 2 processors. It swaps back and forth. It gets pretty dang hot.
Yeah, it does.
So much so that when I watch the Gear watch virtual reality in the Gear VR, after about 15 minutes, the Gear VR says, we're stopping now because you're too hot. So,
Wah, wah.
wah, wah. OnePlus plans to use both thermal gel and graphite to diffuse heat from the Snapdragon 810. So it's like they kind of know it is very hot. The way HTC solved it, they basically throttled the speed way down, making it a very sluggish phone, which really begs the question, why put a super fast processor in if you can't use the speed?
Right.
That's all we know, though. That's all they're saying. There's no official release date. And what they're going to do is release specs a little bit at a time, just to guarantee that they'll stay in the news cycle, and we'll talk about them each and every week. So I want to tell you right now, that's the last you're going to hear about that phone until we know everything there is to know. I'm not falling for it. Jason, will you make that pledge on All About Android 2?
Not to talk about OnePlus 2 until there's an actual device to look at.
I'm not going to fall.
That's not a bad pledge. Yeah. However, I reserve the right.
Oh, man. All right.
Because sometime, they might announce something revolutionary.
Right.
In which case.
That would be a story.
Yeah. But if it's just little bits of details here and there, I think that's not a bad pledge at all.
Well, I just don't want to fall for it. I feel
it's
like
true.
a sucker.
Totally.
Each week we'll release another part, and you'll do another story.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, because nobody else is going to take that pledge.
There's so many companies doing that kind of thing these days. Just Amazon is amazing. They're just always trickling out little.
It's not hard to game this crap system that we call the tech blogosphere.
Yes.
Everybody's desperate to find clicks. Not that you're a part of that, Danny Sullivan. Not that you would ever fall for that stuff.
No. I'm not going to fall for any of that.
You know what? That's one of the things I appreciate about you, maybe because you've been doing this for so long, but the search engine land does not do link bait, really.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I mean,
you don't fall for that.
Well,
there is the story of the Egyptian repairman who outranked Google.
But that wasn't us.
Yeah. A search engine watch.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah.
That's the copycat.
And in fact, that's just a copy of the original article that was put up there. It was an interesting, see the guy who wrote it, Ed Noor. We actually looked at the article when that first appeared, where I think he put it out on his personal page or on LinkedIn. Yeah. And then we actually were trying to find out what happened. And we could never get a straight answer from Google on it. And then by the time they finally got back to us, it was kind of over and done with. So it was weird.
You think it's a joke or it's serious?
No, I think there was some kind of a weird glitch that happened where he was #1 for Google on Google, but no one knows why it happened, and there was speculation like, well, maybe it's the Google Plus link, and it wasn't the Google Plus link. No. We don't know why it happened.
He's an Egyptian HVAC technician, and in fact, the guy who wrote the blog post called him up.
Yeah,
and said, "Hi, this is Ed Noor. I work in the field of digital marketing. I noticed you're ranking #1 on Google. Did you know this?" And the fella said, "Yeah, a lot of people called me and told me that Google made a website about me." No. I mean Google search. When people search for the word Google, you come up first. Did you know that? No. I just find people calling me and telling me they saw my Google. So you never did anything to promote your page? What page? your page on Google Plus. No, I just published it using my email back in 2009. That's why I get a lot of people visiting my profile, because I have an old email there. Actually, I think it takes more than that. Apparently, they never found out why or how this guy got to be #1 on Google search for the word Google. It only happened in Egypt. Yes, it was incognito pages and everything. It wasn't based on.
I mean, what that tells you is that Google doesn't pay very close attention to some countries. They weren't paying attention with what's happening in the Egypt research results. No one on Google is searching for Google apparently, but that's what's going on there.
Anyway, Google fixed the issue, and Mr. Saber no longer ranks #1 when you search for Google. In fact, they took the website field out. See, I think that might have had something to do with it. His website,
on his Google Plus thing?
Yeah, it was google.com.eg.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. I mean, it shouldn't have, right?
It should know better.
The links, but the links are no follow, and so it shouldn't have had an impact on that, right? It's not supposed to pass credit, but there might have been just some bug where it did pick it up, and because it's from a Google domain, because otherwise anybody could just add Google to their Google Plus profile, and we'd all be ranking for Google, and that clearly doesn't happen.
Right.
So it maybe that fed into some other bug that made it happen, but that person has nothing to teach you in terms of ranking well on Google unless you can manage to get the same kind of bug to happen.
But Saber noticed that his search results were going down, so he put google.com.eg back on his profile, and he was back #1.
Wow.
So
is it back happening again?
Yeah. Well, apparently this is a follow-up. Over the weekend, I noticed Mr. Saber is back at the top when searching for Google's brand name keywords. I checked his Google Plus profile, found that a google.com.eg URL is back in the website field. I called him. He confirmed he noticed that Google changed his website URL, so he put it back. And he is the king of SEO, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got any SEO questions, call the HVAC technician in Cairo. Just search for Google, and you'll find him. It's pretty funny. But a bug, right? Believe me, I know about website bugs. I know all about website bugs. Chrome Bookmark Manager, what happened there? That didn't work out so well for Google. We actually talked about it, I think, when they released the new Bookmark Manager. They've gone back to the previous version. Apparently not as responsive. Or maybe people just said, we don't like this. Is that what I have now? If
people
I go
said it was confusing.
Yeah. Showing thumbnails and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's another one of those things that Google would do that Apple would never do. Well, maybe.
Try stuff?
Yeah, try stuff.
Could have been an A/B test. See if I do this. If I go to my Bookmark Manager, do I get the... No, isn't that the new one?
You can also keep the new one by installing a specific Bookmark Manager extension.
Okay, that's probably the right way to do it. Maybe I did that. I don't know. I think I'm getting the new one. Isn't that it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what extensions you might have?
Who knows what's going on?
Possible to predict.
Certainly I don't. All right, we're going to move along here and talk a little bit about Google's new site to help you choose your phone. Surprise, surprise, they choose all the most expensive phones.
That's right. They're best partners.
I got my 511 update on my S6, by the way. I have a T-Mobile Galaxy S6, and it does seem to have fixed a few things. Maybe that memory leak, that was the question. We'll talk about the new Twitch killer from Google and a lot more. Oh, and the change at the top in Twitter. But our show first, before we do that, is brought to you by our friends at Squarespace. The place to make your next website, making the web beautiful, one site at a time. It's the best hosting combined with the best software. Beautiful, responsive pages that fit your business, your style, whether you're a photographer, a blogger, an online store, a musician. They've got great sites for bands, great sites for weddings, and the best 24/7 customer support right from their offices in New York City. It's so fun. My friend Alex Lindsay, he goes to a place, he goes to a restaurant, they don't have a website. Makes him crazy. He says everybody should have a website. So while he's eating, he will create a Squarespace site. And then as he leaves, he tells the owner, look, I made a website for you. Here it is. You get it for free for 2 weeks. He said, if you like it, keep it. Go pay him for it. But here's all the information you need. Because you don't need to give him a credit card to try it out at squarespace.com. Just click the Get Started button. You can even import content right from your existing site. It's state-of-the-art technology. Just try looking at that site on a mobile phone, on a big screen. It looks great everywhere. Every single one of the Squarespace websites comes with e-commerce capabilities. Even the $8 a month plan you get one thing, which is great for donations, raising money, fundraiser, that kind of thing. Or just like somebody donates to you as a blogger. How do you like my blog? Give me a tip jar. You'll love the e-commerce there. If you get the professional edition or the business plan, you get some great features. ShipStation, you got accounting built in. You get automatic shipping stuff done. It's really nice. In fact, check it out. Go to squarespace.com. Try the trial. You've got till June 30th to take advantage of a free year of custom email and business tools when you buy the professional or business plan. The basic plan's $8. If you want to do more commerce or have more capabilities, get the professional or business plan. And if you do that before June 30th, you'll get a free year of custom email and business tools. Some nice stuff. Start your free trial right now. No credit card required at squarespace.com. Don't forget, do it before June 30th to get that free year of custom email and business tools. And, of course, when you register for a year, you get a free domain name, too. Promo code TWIG will get you 10% off and show your support for This Week in Google. Build it beautiful. A better web awaits. It's squarespace.com. Don't forget the TWIG offer code when you buy for 10% off. BlackBerry might put Android on its new device.
Yeah, weird.
I don't know if that's the way to win. I don't know what you do if you're BlackBerry at this point. How about Sidewalk Labs? Google made a big deal announcing this. This is it's kind of like a pro bono thing. Have you?
Yeah, they're investing in it, and basically they want to fix cities using the miracle of technology. One of the things that they want to do, which really jumped out at me, was that they want to make cities more affordable. And of course they're under
just
a
as
lot
they've
of pressure.
done in San Francisco.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this clearly, this seems to me to be a way to sort of dissipate the focus on Google as a cause for rising prices in big cities like New York and San Francisco.
It's not our fault. We've got a site devoted to it.
Exactly. So this is a really interesting initiative. They're basically just investing a lot, and this is Sidewalk Labs is a New York-based venture, and it's headed by Dr. Doktoroff, who is the former deputy mayor of economic development for the city of New York. And the technology is going to fall. They've already decided what the categories are, and the categories are really, really interesting. One is insulation. They're going to figure out how to insulate buildings better to save a ton of energy. They want to make cities have lots of electric car charging opportunities. They want green roofs, like Facebook, with a park on the top with
That's a good idea.
They want to have better use of data for dealing with traffic and how people are moving around the city. They want incentives for sustainability. They want to have lots of services, city services in the cloud. But here's the one that really blew my mind. They want to focus on the gut microbes in people who live in cities and figure out how cities can be teeming with bacteria and microbes so that people have healthy guts.
Nice.
How amazing is that?
Really cool.
If you like bacteria.
This website is about the scantest thing I've ever seen. There's basically a picture.
I just keep reading it as sidewalk abs because it had it before. I can't see the L.
I would like sidewalk abs.
I got some sidewalk abs.
I could use some sidewalk abs. Basically, there's a press release, a couple of email addresses. That's it. It's a one-pager. Or is it a Larry pager? I feel like I could do this. I could announce podcast labs.
Yes,
An attempt to create eco-safe podcasts.
Yes.
And I could put a site up, and it doesn't. Okay, well,
Then put in, 10 or 20 or $100 million of your money, and
yeah. Well, that's what Larry said. It wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
For him, that's 10 or 20 million. That's cigarette money for Larry.
This is the Google equivalent of a politician saying, well, we need a committee to look at that.
It's a committee. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Improve city life.
Just give everybody a Segway. That's what I say.
Remember when the Segway came out, Bill Gates and others said, I think Steve Jobs said this is going to redefine how cities are built.
They will redesign cities just for the Segway.
I wish they would.
Yeah.
Can they get on that now that I have a Segway?
Well, I mean, be realistic. They're struggling enough redesigning cities for bicycles, which are over 100 years old.
Right.
Yes.
Took a little while.
But I mean, it's happening, and people are starting to make some of those changes. So, it really is dramatic how cities did get redesigned for automobiles and cars. So, but maybe some of these things will speed some of this stuff along. Or we got that Hyperloop test track that's being built, so that'll be fine.
There's not just one. There's several.
Yeah.
Calacanis has one that he's doing. There's one in the desert somewhere. Calacanis wants to focus on using the Hyperloop to deliver cargo under the sea, to replace those big super container ships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of pneumatically thrust products under the sea.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds
ships are cheap.
Yeah.
They're cheap, but they use a huge amount of oil. A lot of the oil being used right now is container ships.
Go back to sales.
The problem with the Hyperloop is that, and especially the problem with the Hyperloop in California, is that I'm sure you can solve all of the technical problems. What you can't do is get the land use. You can't have any turns or corners. So that's
why they do it under the ocean.
Well, it's like,
who owns that?
All that plastic.
It's all straight.
Yeah, but
just aim straight for Japan.
But that's not the plan. That's Calacanis.
That's Calacanis' plan.
But the one that's actually underway, the Elon Musk version.
Well, said he wants to do it L.A. to San Francisco.
No way it's going to happen.
Not going to happen.
There's no way you can get the right to do it. They'll get it all except for like one tract.
Right.
They'll have to launch this thing through the air to land in the hole on the other side. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Is this Cade Metz article in Wired an April Fool's joke a little late? Revealed the secret gear connecting Google's online empire. Did you read this, Danny?
No, I didn't.
The Pluto switch.
Yeah, good old Pluto switch.
What?
What they're saying is that Google makes its own
networking switches.
Yeah. And one was accidentally shipped to the wrong place. And that's how they posted pictures and stuff, and then people have been analyzing, what is this? How does it work?
Well, it does make sense that Google would make its own switch. I mean, sorry, Google. I mean, sorry that Google woke up when I said.
So did mine. So my
did it?
Yeah.
These guys are touchy. We're gonna have to do something about this. Yeah. We couldn't buy the hardware. We needed to build a network of the size and speed we needed to build, said a Google spokesman. It didn't exist, so we built our own, the Pluto switch.
It's not really a switch.
It's a good story. I like it. Does Google open source, does Facebook open source?
Facebook does.
Its hardware?
Yeah.
Like, here's how we do it.
Facebook open sourced its entire thing that's going on for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they got Intel bought into it. They've got all kinds of industry buy-in. They're really changing how data centers operate because, of course, Facebook doesn't. That's not really their business. Their business is taking your personal information and selling ads.
Well, here is a Google. Here's a Google Jupyter Superblock. Google is revealing a little bit more about how its servers talk to each other. It's the Jupyter networking setup, the 5th generation of the company's efforts. It offers 100 times the capacity of its first in-house data center network, 1 petabyte per second of something called bisection bandwidth. That's the bandwidth between 2 different parts of the network. A petabyte per second, that's enough for 100,000 servers to talk at 10 gigabytes per second each.
Wow.
That's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So this is apparently part of, this is part of the Pluto switch.
Apparently this initiative began 11 years ago. Google engineers started building their own gear.
I like it. Using a closed network, a multi-stage circuit switching network.
Not sure if you remember, Leo, a guest, he's been here a couple of times, Richard Hay from Google. He's visited, actually, pretty recently he was here.
Really?
He actually worked on this project for the last...
No kidding.
Yeah, that's how I saw the article initially on Google+.
Is that the guy
he was
I
like,
met in Australia who finally... No, that's somebody else.
Yeah, no, he was here, I don't know, a couple of months ago. He's always wearing...
these people coming in and they're like big shots and they don't even announce themselves.
Yeah, he's been working on this for years and he's like, finally, I could show off what I've been working on.
Talk about Jupyter. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, all this stuff.
I want a home Pluto switch.
I want a petabyte per second. We need a petabyte here. What did you? Now I kind of skimmed over that, but I should probably reiterate that according to Google, they're going to put Google Fiber in. What did they say? 100 more cities?
Yeah, I think that's right.
A Petaluma should be in there, right? Man, I'd love some Google. Give me some Google Fiber.
Yeah. And a petabyte.
And a petabyte or petabit or whatever it is. What's the difference? When it gets to peta, it doesn't matter if it's a bit or a byte. It's peta. That's what matters. So Google says we're going to build a Twitch. Remember that Twitch, the gaming service, Twitch.tv, that was created by Justin.tv and was wildly successful, was purchased by Amazon. Apparently a bit of a bidding war between Google and Amazon and others, I imagine. Yep. Google lost, but no problem. They're going to build their own. On Friday, YouTube demonstrated at the YouTube space in Manhattan their YouTube gaming service, which will launch this summer. And these are pictures from Ars Technica. Ron Amadio went to take a look at the service. This is I want to do this.
You know, this is pretty awesome. And Jason, I don't know. I'm waited till you take a drink before I throw to you. But like, do you know if this is something, if you can stream from a mobile device?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know that for sure.
Because if you can,
I mean, there will be an app, obviously, but I don't know if there's direct streaming. From
Nobody's doing Let's Play videos with mobile devices. Yeah. That would be cool.
No, nobody's doing that.
Would be.
Yeah,
it'd be nice. My son wanted he wanted a real challenge. He wanted this expensive thing for his Nintendo DS to stream off of that, and I was like,
Is he 12?
I call it on that.
Is he 12?
14.
Close enough. That's the thing. I talk to 12-year-olds all the time. Used to be when I was a kid, they all wanted to be, Michael Jordan. They all wanted to be, the quarterback, the sports star. Now they all want to do Let's Play videos with Minecraft. Like every 12-year-old you meet. Yeah, I've got my YouTube channel. I'm putting Minecraft videos up there. Well, it makes sense.
I think he's in the other room on Twitch right now.
Yeah, of course he is.
It used to be I'd be like, you guys have to be quiet. I'm going to be doing a podcast, and now it's like, you got to be quiet. I'm live streaming my game. I'm like, oh, excuse me. On the other hand,
I'm broadcasting, Dad.
Retirement age approaches, so.
Chad Johnson, who used to do our OMG Craft show, used to produce this show, good friend, moved to LA to pursue stardom, and he has been doing a lot of Let's Play on YouTube. He makes good money. He says it's the most lucrative thing he does. He's doing well on Patreon and other places, but he said, what you do, the trick on Let's Play videos on Twitch is to interact with the chat room, which is very much the trick with Periscope and Meerkat, right? It's all about talking to the fans.
Yep. And
he has some deep-pocketed fans who just laid money into his pockets.
Yeah.
I missed the boat here somehow. I blew it.
I used to publish a newsletter, and it was casually, voluntarily tip jar type of thing.
Yeah.
And there was one guy who would send me like $100 a month or something.
You really
like that.
liked it.
Yeah. And I think if you have enough fans, you can always find somebody with more money than sense.
I need a sugar mama. Any volunteers? No. I was thinking, I want to try this. Like at home, I get home, instead of ham radio, knitting, I want a hobby. I'll just sit down in front of the Xbox and I'll play Fallout 4.
And stream it.
And stream it.
Because you're not streaming enough.
I want to go home and stream it.
I see.
YouTube certainly has the back end. They have the record for the most stream views at a single time. 8 million people watched Felix Baumgartner jump out of a...
Now, I believe that couldn't be possible because, watching Silicon Valley's finale this week, even the best technology you have out there
catches on fire.
Middle out, like
even if you have
nobody's
middle
ever
out.
seen. Even if you have middle out and the middle out is working in a way that people can't even anticipate, you're going to set something on fire if you get to around 400,000 people unless people instantly pull on special gloves and code in the middle of it.
It was so funny. I love it.
It was good. It was good, though. I always wanted to write a thing like, why nothing on Silicon Valley makes no sense, but it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
It's close. It's kind of that weird thing, and this is television. This is television in a nutshell. It feels real, but it's not.
Yeah. What I loved about that episode is this guy was dying. That was the content.
Right. And they said,
that was great.
Great luck, he's dying.
Nobody cared at all about his life. There was all like, wow, this really good latency. It's like amazing.
Speaking of casualties, Dick Costolo is stepping down as CEO of Twitter end of the month. Wall Street had been slowly chopping off limbs at Twitter, killing people, working their way up to the CEO. They finally got to Dick, and they're cutting off Dick. Well, I mean, he's over.
Actually, his first name is Embattled. I think you're
Embattled. The embattled Dick. You know what? Everybody that I talk to at Twitter loves him.
Yeah. He's very popular within the company, but he's offered his resignation several times. So he said, I think I should step down. They said, no. And then he said, I think I should step down. They said, no. And this time they said, okay.
Yep. Try that. We've tried everything else. Stock market soared on the news and then plummeted the next day.
Yeah, right.
Right back to where they were. They are so fickle on Wall Street. I feel kind of bad for Dick. But on the other hand, I don't really feel that bad. Jack Dorsey is current interim CEO. He's back. He probably will end up being the CEO. Yeah. Twitter has been such a soap opera. If you haven't read Nick Bilton's book on Twitter, read that. And this is just the obvious continuation of just the company that won everything but couldn't manage to make it.
Their fatal flaw is that they aren't Facebook.
Or something.
Because it's like and what do? If you become more like Facebook, as they have tried to do, you alienate the people who love the old Twitter. And if you remain the old Twitter, then you don't get new users. And so they can't win because they're not Facebook. Facebook is just killing everybody. They have 1.4 billion users for Facebook. They have now 800 million, I think is the latest number for Facebook Messenger. 700 or 800. I think it's 700.
300 million for Instagram.
300 million for Instagram.
It's 800 bigger than Twitter.
800 million for WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
I mean, it's just ridiculous how many users they have. And so Twitter comes along with its 300 million or whatever it is active users. And it's just, how do you compete with a monopoly on everybody?
What would you do to turn around Twitter, Danny?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I feel at times they could use a better product vision. I mean, one of the things, they talk about where the future communication platforms and communications are thing or whatever, but by and large, it just still looks like, you get your tweets. And I think there's a great business there. And I think that Twitter has established such a stronghold in a lot of people's lives and in a lot of media companies that you watch where, you kind of wonder how you could have a TV show these days without having Twitter being alongside of it. So the idea is, I think some people sparked that they could do more around live events and so on, potentially there's a lot more monetization that you can do with it from there. Maybe reopening some things up with their APIs where people could tap into it in the way that people got burned on it before, where they said basically, we're not going to let everybody do everything. But You know, that's a tough one. Honestly, I would try to sell the company to Google.
Yeah.
If it were me, I think that Google's future is part of something bigger. I think that on their own, they're kind of squeezed in among different things. But I think as part of, potentially an Apple, but really more like a Google, they might have a better home, a better fit with other kinds of products, or just where maybe the pressure of them having to try to be more than what they're good at doing. It's kind of like saying, well, what would you do with YouTube, right? I mean,
but YouTube's profitable, right?
Yeah, but it took a really long time, and they still come under pressure of you're not making as much money, or you could be doing more. Now you got Facebook coming at them, and well, how come Facebook's stuff isn't doing as well with it? But as something that's within Google, it has less pressure than maybe if it was sitting out there on its own. So I think there's a lot of good stuff with Twitter. I just suspect it's just maybe too hard for it to be successful on its own as a public company. That's the thing. If it were a private company and it was making money and, the investors were happy with it, but, you go public and then everybody wants the big returns.
It's really
and I think
true.
And I think Mike said it well, that, they're going to get compared to Facebook regardless of whether or not that's the right thing to compare them to.
I think they made one smart recent move, which is that they released the 140 character limitation on direct messages. So if you send a DM to somebody, it can be it can be up to.
Why is that smart? It just feels like email. Because
simply because there's no reason to limit that to 140 characters. The reason their secret sauce is the limit for public messages. So you can have a stream, as we both have sitting here going, and it's not going to be like Google Plus where you get these massive messages that you have to slog through. They're nice, light little things that breeze by, and they're easy to take. Whereas with direct messages, you can actually communicate significantly, and it's not going to invade anybody's mental space in an obnoxious and unwanted way. You can control it. It's from people you know. And I think really that's a secret. The bottom line is that strangers don't scale. The only thing that is going to get you those big Facebook numbers is when everybody's interacting with people they already know. So Twitter is mostly a play to get content from people you don't know. Google Plus is almost entirely a place to get content from strangers. Facebook wins, and WhatsApp wins, and
because it's your friends,
because it's
strangers.
People you know.
Yeah.
And that's what scales for some reason. So they need to make Twitter something that's great for communicating with people you already know, and not just a place to follow Danny Sullivan and the Jeff Jarvises of the world.
You know who benefits quite a bit from Twitter are the live TV shows like American Idol, and they really use it. As you said, every TV show has a Twitter hashtag. And, and they really use it. I wonder, it's in their interest to keep Twitter alive.
Right.
Well, you'd think so, right? And that's part of what I look at it, and I think, well, there's no way you can lose Twitter because they're so tied into this stuff, and you can't imagine it. And then you can go back and think, but remember when all the TV shows had AOL keywords, right? I mean, it's not the same thing, but on the one hand, it is a strength that is so used. And you can look at some of these shows where when they're broadcasting, the cast members are on there. And in fact, there's been a number of articles where it's just kind of required of what you need to do, especially when you've got a generation of millennials and sub-millennials and whatever that, expect to be doing two screens side by side.
Yeah.
And maybe there's better things they can do. I mean, I still haven't seen a good application where I can watch a TV show and I can have the tweets alongside. Right? Maybe I need a Twitter TV. I don't know. Maybe that's my computer, right? Anyway, what's a TV? What's the Apple TV? It's my computer anyway. But yeah, you would think that they'd have a big stake in it, and potentially you would think that maybe that's somebody who should buy it as well, as like a media company. But then it suddenly becomes very niche, right? Because what do you do if a big television network buys it? Does all the other networks don't want to use it or come up with their own? And but yeah, I think that there's stuff that can be done.
That'd be one of the things that Google could do if they acquired it. They could build it into Chrome. They could build it into Android TV. They could, not that everybody has those products, but they could do that. And that would be really compelling. I agree with you. I think that tweeting while watching event television is one of the greatest things that Twitter can offer to the world. And,
Google should buy them.
They should. Absolutely should.
Yeah, maybe they will now, though. They put in the offer, whatever.
Feels like Google would buy them, then they would slowly disappear, as Google has done with so many other similar.
Potentially to survive like YouTube. I mean, YouTube is a great example of something that's kind of stood out there, and Google could try to pull the same kind of Nest type of thing they've done before. Said we're acquiring Twitter, and we're not going to, mess with what they're going to do, but we are going to have some synergies between them. And the Google Twitter deal was sort of I'm not going to pronounce it right, but the rapprochement or whatever, where, Google was really burned in their view by Twitter. And it's not clear who burnt who or whatever happened in the end of it, but Google wired the entire real-time search service to Twitter's data in an unprecedented way to rely on a third party. And I can remember going, and I still have a T-shirt from it or whatever, going out to the event that they did where they launched Google Real-Time Search, and it was at the San Jose Computer Museum, and it was like a big, huge thing. And then to literally have that fire hose plug pulled, they had to close a product. Google had to shut down an entire product that they had built around Twitter's information, and there's a lot of bad blood with that. Yeah. There's a lot of we're never going to do it again. So the fact that they actually decided to partner again with Twitter, it's like, wow. Yeah. Okay. So maybe that'll be the start of something bigger. Maybe the whole CEO stuff will, change it around and make it something more receptive to it. I don't know.
I wonder if this redesign of Google Trends ties in, because this is all about real-time trends, which is, of course, in a way what Twitter's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly can be mined for that.
Yeah, in fact, they're putting data sets on GitHub, which I think is very geeky and very cool if you're a data scientist.
The difficulty with trends is like, who goes there? Like, if you're a journalist, you go there because you want to think, okay, this is what's hot and going with it. But I don't think typical people go to Google Trends to see what's hot and happening in the way that they might hit the Twitter Discover tab or the way that it's integrated with Facebook, right? And when you search on Google, it's not like they say, here's the trending stuff that happens in the way that, say, Yahoo and sometimes Bing does. So I think Google is looking at, wow, there's great interest in trends. People are wanting to see what's happening. They potentially this is we've got rich data around it, but no one knows.
Yeah, right.
And nobody sort of seeks it out. So they can tweet it or whatever, and they could share it, I guess, on Google Plus. But maybe it was something else that they could do.
This is something because Google's full of data scientists. So this is something that they like.
But do a search, like go on topics and search for Nest, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then hit search, and then now you can go over after it searches, hit the drop down from 2004 to present. It's your second drop down. Switch it over to past 4 hours. Mm-hmm. This is the new part, right? You could never do this before. Look at an hourly basis. Sorry, I wave my hands in there. Sorry.
He wants so badly to touch it.
Now go back a bit more. Go back.
This is cool.
Go back up and switch it back to the past day.
All right.
Okay. So now you'll see this spike.
Yeah, the spike in interest
there.
Starting around
if you take
10 a.m.
like Trump, you can see sort of the same sort of thing. You see this big, huge spike that comes up with it from there, and then it drops down.
That's a good one. I like that, Donald. So this is the thing. In some ways, people really value about Twitter, right?
But to do this, you have to go. You see, to find this, you're having to go do that, right? And yes, you could go search for, or Trends will surface some stuff up there if you remember that you should go to Google Trends as part of your daily cruise or whatever. But what people do the most at Google every day is use Google.
Boy, look, April 2011, something happened with Donald Trump's hair.
With the hair.
And then December 2011, November 2012. January 2015, and of course, May 2015.
He had a good run there for a while.
Yeah, and then nothing in June. And then, of course, regional interest is mostly U.S. and Alaska. That's Donald Trump's hair. Do you see the fun
2011, now we know Donald Trump's hair care secrets.
Yes.
That's what it was all about.
Yes.
In Time magazine, the secret to Donald Trump's hair.
Is that? Oh, you found it, the story.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a bunch of them all about it.
Jeez Louise. Amazing, isn't it? I love it that Google shares this kind of stuff, but you're right. I don't know. What do you do with
This is a classic Google thing, though. They build these awesome things, and then they just fail to communicate. Nobody knows it exists. And they just
if you watch his show, you do.
Yeah, but it's like, for the general public, I mean, this is, again, to contrast them with Apple. Apple will hold the world's attention and take them through things like if Apple owned this, the Apple fanboys would be using it 10 times a day. And it's like they have to figure out, they have all these great data scientists, but what they really need is more marketing people or something. I don't know what the
Here's interest in the Swift programming language.
Let me give you an example of this. Go to the Google homepage.
Okay.
All right. And what do you see on the Google homepage? And not everybody goes to the Google homepage, but it's a good point of the attitudes that they have.
They don't show that at all.
Homepage,
they can have a thing that says trending, you know?
Now go to Yahoo's homepage.
Okay. Oh, God.
I know, but go to Yahoo's homepage and look in the right corner.
Yeah. Trending now.
Trending now. Now go to Bing's homepage.
Yeah.
And at Bing's homepage, you see what Google potentially could do and they don't do. Right?
These are the trends down here.
They've got different trending things
which
that
would
are
be
searching,
awesome.
and they're putting it there with it from that. And so, you know, if you
why doesn't Google do that?
Because no one's thinking about it. It's different teams. You've got a team that's doing trends. You've got a team that's doing search, and no one's thought that we should put the trending stuff into search. And also, you know, to some degree, the team that does search is going to be very protective. It's like, we don't want things on the search page unless, you know, they make a lot of sense to be there.
Right.
So just putting trending stuff up there on the search page, they might not think that they need to do it, but potentially you could. You know, why not, if you're searching, not have a little thing saying other things that are trending? Or ideally, if you've done a search for one thing, you might suggest related trending topics that are going on there as well. You could do that sort of thing.
Was this going to be the place that they would put that, Google Plus? Because they do have a trending thing here.
Yeah, but that's stuff that's trending on Google Plus.
Right.
Right. But yes, you could put it into Google Plus as well. But I you know, it's tough. It goes back to, I think, one of Google's challenges is just not having a strong sense of what goes on in terms of social. They don't have a strong social product. You know, I think they've got Google Plus and everything, and I know, but it's not the volume and it's not to the degree that people would say turn to Facebook or Twitter. And, you know, for whatever reason, if something trends on Twitter, people talk about it. It's not uncommon for me to see tweets from even just, you know, ordinary users, whatever, was like, wow, this is trending, right? So people are finding that the trending stuff is happening on Twitter. People are finding that trending stuff seems to happen on Facebook, although I don't hear people remark about it so much. And I think Facebook has been kind of belatedly trying to do that. So I get a sense that people have gotten used to kind of turning to Facebook, to Twitter, to understand, oh, wow, what's a hot topic? What are people talking about? Because it's a conversational place. What are people talking about on Twitter? I'll hit trends. I'll see, like, wow, this is really going on. Facebook has tried to catch into that by having their own little trending box, even though I find Facebook to be less conversational. There's more sharing that's going on there. And then Google Plus, you know, it's more, seems group oriented sometime, and it's not, you know, it's just, maybe it's just not a fit there for this. What are people talking about or whatever? Twitter, but then if you go to Google search, it's not what people are talking about, but what people are interested in. That's a very powerful thing. That's the whole point of why people are searching. But they just, you know, the best home for it probably is in Google search. They just, for whatever reason, have not thought about implementing it there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, you know, completely agree with you. I mean, Twitter feels like it's a great finger on the pulse kind of a site. It feels like it's the global conversation happening that you're witnessing. It's not really the case because it's dependent entirely upon who you follow and so on. But it feels like this is what everybody's talking about. And the psychology of it is very different. If you go to Facebook, I don't know if you feel this way, but if you go to Facebook, you feel like you want to go back and see what you missed, even though you missed, you know, 88% of it or whatever that they filtered out of your news feed. But on Twitter, like, you know, you go there and you just tune into what's going on right now. You don't feel any pressure to go back and see what you missed 4 hours ago or whatever. And so that, you know, and I think that's entirely the result of two factors. One is that it's got a 140 character limitation, so people are forced to be concise, and then you have all these short things going by, and that's something that people can handle. And the second thing is third-party integration. So, you know, for example, you know, a lot of people are using these things. I'm using Tweetbot, for example, which is a stream that I don't have to touch for it to move. It streams by. And that's really important, I think, and that's something that Google Plus used to have. That's something that Facebook sort of kind of has. But for Twitter and apps like Tweetbot, it can just sit there and you can watch the stream go by. And that is a powerful zeitgeist kind of trend watching kind of a feel. that I think Google needs to figure out how to implement somewhere.
Well, and one thing that used to be fascinating that Google did, and I'm so old now, but I can't remember if they ever put it out on other people used to do this. You'll remember you used to go to things like the web crawler spy or whatever, and you could watch what people were searching for.
Oh, I remember that. That was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating, and people used to do it and look at it all the time. Google used to do that within their offices, and then they kind of got rid of that later on. The difficulty with something like that is, there's a lot of filtering you got to do because you can reveal sensitive stuff.
Well, and the number one search when I saw it last at Google's offices was Yahoo.
Yeah.
Because people, instead of going to yahoo.com, would just type Yahoo.
And it's always like...
And they like to filter that stuff up. But can you imagine, can you imagine if BuzzFeed ran Google and you'd have an app that would be showing you in real time what the top searches were happening? You could just go there and you'd be like, oh, this is picking up here, this topic. And, Google Trends almost as an app, and possibly you'd have the ability to share or comment or talk about it. I mean, there's fun stuff you could do with it, which in turn would generate searches, which in turn, is what pays for all the auto-driving cars. So, I think there's stuff that they could do. They just, and to be fair, I think what they're trying to do with today's announcement is part of that, and trying to better realize we've got this great data, and we know people are interested in it, so we're trying to find a better way to present it out there.
Shocking result in the European Court of Human Rights, the case of Delphi versus Estonia. Delphi was or I guess is, but maybe soon will be, was a website that aggregates news in both Estonian and Russian. It also operates in Latvia and Lithuania. At the end of the news articles, as on many sites, there was a comment section. Yeah. The comment section was automatic, and they weren't edited or moderated. There was a notice of takedown system in place, so a reader could mark a comment as insulting, and it would be taken down, and apparently fairly expeditiously, according to court documents. There was a system of automatic deletion of comments that included obscene words. A victim of defamatory comment could notify an applicant company, in which case the comment was removed immediately. There was a terms of service, or they called it a rules of comment, which said there should not be threats, insults, hostility, violence. Nevertheless, the government of Estonia sued Delphi, saying the site had a notorious history of publishing defamatory and degrading comments. The European Court ruled that Delphi was indeed responsible for libel posted in comments on their site. Even if the website took down the comments after complaints, it was held liable because it should have anticipated bad comments in the first place. This is the Human Rights Court in Europe saying websites are liable for user comments. They've agreed to, actually the case was ruled on once, they reheard it, and the same thing happened. Mike Masnick, writing in Tech Dirt, says the ruling is horrific. The right of protection of reputation versus the right of freedom of expression, and the protection of reputation wins, according to the European Court. Freedom of speech, another great challenge coming out of Europe. I wish Jeff Jarvis were here to turn beet red and have steam coming out of his ears. This is just another terrible decision by a European court. Yep. And I hope this doesn't extend to, into the United States, because it's very difficult. I mean, we don't allow comments for that reason, but I think we could be sued for a chat room for that reason. Yeah,
I think that this is unlikely to become a big issue, because even though this is potentially a precedent being set here, in fact, it contradicts other European Union directives, right, including their e-commerce directive, which quote, guarantees liability protection for intermediaries that implement notice and takedown mechanisms on third-party comments, unquote. And part of the problem that's happening with this Estonia site is that there is speech on that site that qualifies as hate speech, and there are problems with the way Delphi is dealing with it. And so in that case, they're trying to turn the screws on Delphi to get rid of this hate speech. Exactly. But as a policy, as a precedent, as a thing that's going to happen Europe-wide, this is not going to, I don't see a world in which Facebook is going to be required to be responsible for everything everybody says on Facebook.
Well, it'd be the end of the world. I mean, it'd just be terrible.
Well, the end of the world is nigh, though, because of another European directive, which is the French Privacy Commission, which is telling Google they have, actually a few days ago, now they have 13 days or something like that, to censor the global internet according to the right to be forgotten rules within Europe. And that is the end of the world.
Well, it's an end of the world depending on how they implement it. So, and that's part of what I wrote up on Marketing Land last week. And we have a similar thing where we had a Canadian court in the same week say the same thing, that you have to do this global censorship. And what is unclear is whether or not they want to have censorship applied to people physically within their boundaries or globally. So, and in part, and this is what I called the myth of censorship, Google's played this little game, and by and large, either knowingly or out of ignorance, the various governments around the world have played along with it, which has been that the governments say, you have to censor these results, and Google says, okay, we've censored them from Google France, and everybody nods and winks as if you couldn't go to google.com from Google France to see uncensored results, right? And that had worked, and that most notably had worked in China, right, where they kind of got around with it. And then when China finally caught on with it, it kind of didn't matter because Google ended up leaving China anyway. So, but that's not working anymore. People in the EU, you know, the regulators and whatnot have said, no, we realize you haven't censored this from google.com, so people can still find this stuff and it needs to go. And what is entirely unclear, and I can't get a straight answer from anybody on, is whether they're saying you now need to censor worldwide for everyone in the world, or worldwide for everybody within our country's boundaries. If it is the latter, that you're saying, look, you know, if someone is in our country and they do a search, we want you to censor according to our laws. It's you know, those are the laws, and it's not impacting other countries. And it's not difficult for people who really want to fake an IP address to get around it. And I would hope that that's the compromise that we get to, that the governments, you know, are reasonable about this and say, look, we said you had to remove this material for our citizens. You've made sure that, you know, reasonable steps have been taken so that our citizens can't get to this material. We're done. If it's, we're going to insist that you remove this stuff from your search engine worldwide, that is a very scary situation, because while, say, the Europeans that are pushing for the right to be forgotten might think that that's all and good and that's the way it would happen, I guarantee some of the same people pushing for that would freak out if Google then said, oh, by the way, we now have to censor all this stuff about Tiananmen Square, because even for people in France, because we got to follow Chinese law worldwide because they want to do the same thing.
And all pictures of women's hair have to be covered and banned because Saudi Arabia doesn't like it, and et cetera, et cetera. There's no end to it.
So I'm hoping that the IP-based type of censorship is what we end up with, that's what happens. I'm, you know, sort of aghast that Google has not been clearer on all this sort of stuff, but themselves by not explaining what's going on or outlining the issues, but I assume that there's more negotiations going on, and, you know, we'll see how it plays out. Well, but that's what we'll need to have happen. And by the way, the flip side, and this is what my article got into, was Google has been censoring worldwide on U.S. law for some time. If you file a DMCA complaint and you get something taken out, that's taken out worldwide, not just taken out for the U.S. So, you know, Google might also have a weird situation where they then have to only filter google.com DMCA for stuff that's within the US. You know, it gets more complicated than that. And that might be part of the other reason why they don't want to kind of get into this all granularity. But, you know, they're probably going to have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. What's likely to happen is that Google will roll out censorship as a service. So they'll go to every single country and say, okay, what's the menu of things that have to be censored? We'll censor it globally for your citizens based on IP, and it's going to be a very complicated internet. The illusion that search engine results actively and accurately, you know, reflect what's actually on the internet is going to become increasingly false, and it's going to be basically a hodgepodge of censorship and legal takedown notices and all that kind of stuff based on IP, and where you are will determine what you can see no matter where you are. And that's going to suck, I think.
This just in from the explosive Dr. Mom. AT&T just got hit by the FCC with the largest fine in the history of the FCC, $100 million. Why? Because they said your data was unlimited.
Those liars.
Those liars. The FCC said that the company improperly slowed down internet speed for customers who signed up for unlimited data plans. AT&T throttled their speeds when they exceeded a certain amount of data. The fine is the largest ever levied by the agency. AT&T implemented the practice in 2011. They say they will fight. This Tom Wheeler continues his transition from Dingo to Hero.
He's playing it for history. Yeah.
He said, consumers get what they deserve to get what they pay for. Broadband providers must be upfront and transparent about the services they provide. The FCC will not stand by idly while customers are deceived by misleading marketing materials and insufficient disclosure.
And AT&T said, that's our whole business model.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's what the whole, that's what your plan is when you go to sign up for a new smartphone plan. It's the whole thing is all about you not knowing what is really going on.
This probably won't help AT&T's attempted acquisition of DirecTV. That is
well, I hope it hits other, but I hope it hits other people too. I was yelling at T-Mobile about the same thing when they talked about all their unlimited data, and you had to go into the footprints to find it. I don't get how you say unlimited data that's limited, right? I mean, it's
wait a minute. To play devil's advocate, it's not that they're limiting the data. It's just that they're slowing it down.
Yeah, they're limiting the speed.
You still have unlimited data.
Which is a limit. It's a limit. It's like saying we're not unlimiting this. We're not limiting the speeds on the freeway. We're just slowing them down. I mean, it's like, a limit means that you're putting some kind of restriction on data.
I thought unlimited meant there's no limit to how much data you can get.
No, that's how you might interpret it. To me, if you say I get unlimited data, it means that there are no limits you're placing on the data. And if one of the limits you place on the data is how quickly I can stream the data, then I view that as a limit. But I look at T-Mobile's site right now, and it's interesting because I look at it now, and I think they're being much more forthright than they had in the past, where they still say unlimited data, but up to 1 gigabyte LTG. It used to be you kind of had to dig that stuff out, and it was kind of buried with it. But I still think this is really significant because, remember, you get unlimited data and T-Mobile when you go abroad?
Right.
Remember? That's pretty cool, right?
It's very slow.
Well, yeah, but they didn't tell you that.
Well, they said
Edge. If you want to know that, you got to dig through and try to figure out, well, just how fast is it? And what is it that I'm at? So on the one hand, I think it's great that they have it. But on the other hand, when I dig through and discover that it's 128K, it's like, oh, well, maybe that's not going to do what I need.
I've heard, by the way, that it's faster. I will test that in 2 weeks.
Yes. Bringing
all T-Mobile phones to Europe. I shall report back. Razer bought Ouya. Hey, I recognize a company with a weird name. I want to buy you. Razer, of course, makes the Boom Slang, the best-named mouse in the world. Yes. It also makes gaming keyboards. Ouya was a Kickstarter. I think it was Kickstarter. Was it Indiegogo? It was a crowdfunded project to create a Android-based gaming TV thing. And while we didn't think it was the greatest thing since sliced bread is kind of slow, you could put Plex on it, and that made it pretty darn cool. Razer, of course, is a gaming company. Makes sense they could sell the Ouya as a accessory. Although I have to say I have the NVIDIA Shield, which does 4K video, is a powerful Tegra processor, I think K1, and it plays games great on my big screen TV. Crossy Roads on my big screen TV is a great deal.
Yeah.
Razer actually had its own Android console. I didn't realize this, the Forge, which also, like the Ouya, got terrible reviews. But like
didn't get very good reviews.
$99.
Ouya was on Kickstarter, by the way.
Kickstarter wasn't. Yeah. Okay. By the way, Snapchat now, if you go on McDonald's, you'll get a new sticker capability. You could Snapchat burger and fries. I didn't even know they were doing this. Do you still use Snapchat? Remember that we all played with it for a while, and then it was like,
But I don't use McDonald's.
Right. I can't see you in a McDonald's. You should go in just to do it.
I do deserve a break today. But
don't buy or eat anything.
Just
terrible.
Snapchat it and
just
run.
Snapchat. Here I am, and then run as fast as you can.
before the creepy clown comes.
It is kind of cool. Is there a creepy clown? That'd be good if Ronald McDonald were in the
Hamburglar
sticker. Yeah. I'd like that. Or the Hamburglar. Are you a Snapchatter, Danny?
Oh yeah, I love Snapchat.
Yeah. How do you use it? What do you use it for?
Well, I use the My Story feature. So I take a snap, I share it out, and you know, anybody can follow it.
You know, it bugs me. You put all this work into this, and then it's gone.
Yep.
Nope, you can download it.
Oh.
It's a lot. Well, but still, it's a lot like Meerkat or Periscope, because it's a lot of work. And yes, you can download it, but really, at the end of the day, not very many people's going to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I
scale.
You know, I
very
can
easily.
Why not use Storify or Search Me?
I'm trying to find one of my examples, because like when I went to Paris, I was walking around. I was just taking a little. Is that the one? No, that's not it. I'm trying to find my download of it. Give me a second, I'll find it. This is really entertaining as I try to look for the Snapchat thing. But you know, I was walking through and I was just taking pictures of stuff and sharing what I was seeing, and you could do a little bit of video with it from there. And you know, it's hard to know how many people, but you have, because they're not really suited for that. But you know, I'll have like 200 views of anything I'm doing, and I'm like nobody on Snapchat, right? And I actually think that's pretty good engagement. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
Fun.
Like there's other choices that are
I like
more
teaching people it.
That last longer, and of course people like Snapchat because it doesn't.
You got to do it. Right. You got to do it. Here we go. Here's my Paris thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it was just like everything I was seeing.
Here's my story. Yeah.
And it's just like little 3-second clips of what you got. Yeah. And so this is what I was doing throughout the day. Those are the love locks that were still surviving somewhere. So you saved that?
Yeah, they're taking them down, you know.
They're all gone. Well, you'll see, because I went onto the bridge, and then you see the little. And so it's just as I'm walking around, you're taking little annotations. If you want to see someone who does it really well, it's Josh Constantine from Tech. Oh my God, his are awesome.
Huh.
His are awesome. He does a great job. They should hire him. But
I'm looking for something that I can take on my trip that will let me kind of tell the story of my trip in a way that I can, like an album. No.
Yeah,
Jason, can I borrow the glass?
Yeah, of course you can.
Well, Google Photos will do that for you automatically. Right?
Automatically. That's the thing. I mean, I'll have
and you
can photos, and I'm thinking Microsoft Sway. That's kind of cool. That lets you do like presentations. Storehouse. It's iPhone only. I don't know if I'm going to take an iPhone with you. But yeah, I guess if I just take the pictures and the video, then Google will automatically assemble them.
Well, you can also do the thing. I just updated it yesterday. I want to see if I have another one here. It was for we did for Matt Cutts. You can do just pick all your photos and throw them together and make a very quick, like 1-minute thing with music and everything.
I like that. Animoto will do that.
It was very, very easy. Oh, here it is.
Google does that, huh?
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Look, Photos does that.
You remember Matt Cutts, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. So he was, because we did our conference 2 weeks ago, and it was the one that he normally would speak at, but of course now he's all kind of retired.
So he sent you something?
Well, no, I looked for all the pictures I found of Matt that I'd had, and I put them all into Google Photos, and then it just made a little thing like that.
Yeah, we all have big photo caches of Matt Cutts. We should put those together.
I keep meaning to create a story about Matt Cutts in Google Photos with all the photos I have.
But that's what it was. It was like I grabbed 30 photos, I tossed them in there. You could rearrange them. You pick your theme. It does all the fades. It has some standard music that now I'm sick of hearing because I had to hear it so much as I was doing it. Yeah. And you were done. Slideshow over.
Dan,
and then you download it to your camera roll, and now you have it. The only thing I didn't like was you couldn't go back in and then add in another photo or make more edits. Like if you didn't pick all the right photos from the beginning, you had to start over.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Google Stories does on Google Plus and now Google Photos. Do you ever use that? Do you ever have one pop up and say, hey, this is pretty good, and then go in and tweak it and all that kind of stuff?
I do sometimes, but usually I can't. I'm not that bothered.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually I'm just kind of flipping through it. And I've had that weird thing like was covered before. Remember I can't remember who wrote about it at The Verge, but, you know, they had pictures of his kids and then pictures of his, like, their grandfather's funeral got mixed together. And I've had weird things like that where Google's mixed different things together. But then sometimes it does a good job. And then, you know, if I get back, I always look if it comes up.
As long as you can fix it.
You can fix it. You can swap them out. And, you know, but the thing is that this is, yet again, another frustrating Google product. It's so awesome. It does everything you want it to. It does everything we've been saying. It'll put in auto awesomes. It'll put in videos. It'll put in pictures. It lets you put in captions. You can swap things out, swap things in. Nobody uses it. Nobody. I mean, I almost never see people sharing stories on Google+. Why is that?
But I think that's part of the challenge. Like, I love what Google's doing with Google Photos, you know, and this is what I said when they did their little press conference afterwards, but it's still overwhelming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get, you know, like my family has all these pictures of me when we're on vacation of me doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
See, that's the other problem. Like, you want something that's really easy to do. I guess that's why Google's the best way to do this.
But part of the reason I tend to want to share the photos when I share them is almost like if I don't curate them right then and there.
Yeah. They never get
back.
created.
Yeah. No, it's kind of nice, but still.
Yeah.
One of the crazy things about Google Photos is that it's been chunking away at all of mine.
I know.
I literally have 80,000 photos. So I'm just getting I just got a story a couple of days ago from my trip to Olympia, Greece in 2012. And it's like, wow, look at this. You know, but it's like it's still working on it.
I'm still getting animations from when I didn't have any hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still waiting. I've got like 10 years and 300 gigabytes of photos, but they're all in Google Drive. And Google got back to me finally yesterday telling me, when they launched Google Photos, they said, and it totally works now for people with Google Apps accounts. Totally works with Google Apps accounts. And I was like, okay, I'm on Google Apps account right now, and all my stuff on Google Drive is not talking the way that you said. And they're like, what? It's just rolling out. And like they finally came back to me and said, yeah, it doesn't work. So I guess they're still working on it. It'll be nice if it finally comes to Google Apps. But I have noticed that what they seem to have accelerated is it's almost like they really are going back in time and making even more animations and stuff just to get you all excited that they have it. So
yeah, if you go to the assistant, you'll find animations as you go back, and I like that. I think that's good. You know, now I'm settled. You're right. All I have to do is just take pictures of my phone.
Right.
And they'll line up on photos. In fact, my camera that I'm going to be using, the Sony A7S, I tap to the NFC to the back of the phone, and it copies all the pictures over to the phone, which would then upload to Google Photos.
Easy. In fact,
at 128 bytes per second.
Right. Well, but it'll do it over time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can post it now with Google Photos to Facebook or Twitter or Google Plus or all the above.
Right.
And by the way, while we're sitting here, I just posted the one to Olympia Greece. I just posted it already. It's so easy.
But you're right. No one ever posts them.
Nobody does. And so, but anyway, I think it's a great feature and probably the way to go. Google Photos.
I think you solved my conundrum. I've been puzzling about this.
I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, Google solved my. Oh my goodness.
But do Snapchat too.
No.
Do Snapchat.
No.
It's fun. It's fun. You need to do it.
It's fun.
You're like always cutting edge. You got to be Snapchat.
I know, but that's so old now.
I feel like I feel like the geezer at my 18-year-old niece's birthday party or something like that.
It's not old.
Apparently, Meerkat will now not only stream live but save it out to YouTube Live. We'll stream to YouTube, which is cool. I was doing that with my little Re from HTC,
which is good because I didn't. Not Meerkat. It was Periscope. Surprised me that. I knew that they would save your video. I didn't realize they didn't save it forever.
Right.
Oh, wow.
24 hours.
I went back to look at something, and I was like, what? You deleted it?
Yeah.
I wasn't happy about that.
All right. You convinced me. And now that I think about it, it makes perfect sense to use photos. Yeah. And it's free, and it does it, and it's all that. I've been uploading every digital picture I've ever taken back to 2001. It's been uploading slowly to Google Photos.
Yeah. And there may be controversy about whether it's the best thing or the easiest way to ship, but I believe that for formatting, compiling, and posting pictures, it's way faster than anything else.
And it's it does it without you doing anything.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Danny Sullivan is here from Search Engine Land. Always good to see you, Danny, at Danny Sullivan on Twitter. Mike Elgan from TNT, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific on Twit. We're going to get your picks of the week, but first, FreshBooks is my pick for the easiest way to get those invoices sent out. It's one of the most annoying things there is about being self-employed or having a small business is invoicing, getting the money from your clients. And, of course, it's kind of like the most important thing you do, too. But just the whole idea of firing up Word or Excel and then creating this the invoice and printing it out, putting it in envelopes, putting a stamp on it, mailing it, and then if they don't pay you, calling them. It just was painful. So much so that I often would just put it off for months. FreshBooks solved that problem. They bill in multi-currencies. I was billing Canada. That made it a lot easier. You can easily get your expenses into FreshBooks. Just take pictures of the receipts. And if you bill for time and hours, easy. Time and expenses, all done by the app. You can actually press a timer, and then it'll go right into the invoice. Plus, the best thing about FreshBooks, you get paid faster. Turns out, clients like these email invoices. They like the pay button because they want to pay it. It's just a pain for them, just like it's a pain for you. Make it easy for them. You get paid on average 5 days faster. And if you get a slow pay client, they'll automatically send out reminders. You don't have to worry about those awkward phone calls.
And you know what's great about this? I use this all the time.
Do you?
FreshBooks. I do. All the time. That's what I use. And it's really fantastic because you use from the cloud-based service. When you go in there, it creates the invoice number. It does everything. It knows the address. It knows everything.
Yeah.
You just plug in, the minimal details, and off it goes, right? And then when the person replies to your email, it doesn't go back to the service. It comes into your inbox like a regular email. So, for example, I get a reassuring message saying, "Hey, got it. Thanks a lot." And again, it's just part of the usual flow. So it's so. Anybody who invoices and doesn't use it is basically nuts.
So much easier.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Go to freshbooks.com/twig, freshbooks.com/twig, and you can get it free for 30 days, no obligation. But do me a favor when there's a place in the form when you fill it out, how did you hear about us? TWIG. Just put Twig in there, and that way they'll know. We'll get credit, and you'll be happy. FreshBooks free for 30 days.
You get paid.
It's great. You get paid. So thank you for your support, FreshBooks. Everybody use it, please. So this is a 2001 picture.
Wow.
Of me and Patrick Norton on this set of the old show. And it even did an animation.
An Auto Awesome. They used to call them Auto Awesomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's 15 years ago now. Almost 14 years ago. I love that. Thank you, Google Photos. Mike, you got a pick for us?
I do. It's a service that went live today called Earthcast. Earthcast is spelled URTHECAST. And what this is a site that will show you 4K photos taken from the space station.
Ooh.
Straight down at planet Earth. And I'm sorry, I said photos. The thing that this is they are videos. They're 4K
and they are
videos.
Beautiful.
So we've all seen Google Maps and Google Earth and all that kind of stuff. Well, these are actual videos. You can see cars driving down the freeway. You can see lots of stuff like that. Now, it's not live.
You can see cars moving?
Yes, you can see movement and so on. And they are going to be posting all this stuff, and they're going to...
Is this just random places?
It's straight down from the ISS and across a swath of the Earth that they go across, but it's super high res, and they're gonna have an API. They're gonna do all this kind of really cool stuff. But this went live today, and it's basically 400 kilometers high. It's going 25,000 kilometers an hour, and so they do all kinds of computational stuff to make sure that the video is really high quality. But it's just breathtaking, as you can see from this. It's just incredible.
Look at that. So now you don't have to wear astronaut diapers to get the great view.
You can if you want.
You might if you just sit there and stare all day.
It is really
gorgeous.
Exciting.
Yeah. This is just from the website. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the URTHECAST. CAST.
Earthcast with a U.
I don't know why they spell it that way.
Because Earthcast with an E was probably taken.
Earthcast with a U. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it must be a promotional video then. This doesn't go on forever.
No, right.
Okay.
So if you go to the website earthcast.com, you can see all kinds of promotional videos and different things. The gallery, they have they talk about their APIs that they're going to be doing. They have all kinds of images that they've posted. And it's going to be a service as well. So if you have a business, if you, for example, are a food conglomerate and you'd like to monitor crop conditions or, any kind of sort of industrial use like that.
So there's a commercial enterprise here.
There is. But for the rest of us, it gives you a funny feeling inside to see video like this.
And this is something they just mounted on the ISS?
Yeah,
they got
2
permission
cameras.
to mount?
Yes, 2 cameras.
There are cameras called ISIS.
And do they pay the ISS for it?
Iris.
Yeah, exactly.
That I don't know, but I imagine there's some kind of deal. It's a profit deal.
He's Bastin.
Yeah. Here's the live feed right now because
there's a live feed.
It's on the right side of the earth, on the night side of the earth.
Just leave that. We can watch sunrise, or is it sunset? Sunrise, sunset.
Wait 15 minutes and you'll have the other one.
That's a sunset, I guess.
That is pretty cool.
That was very good timing.
Jason, where did you get the live feed?
It was just up a top left-hand corner. It says live.
Oh, I love that.
On the main site.
All right, great.
Holy mogoly.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah, we got to see sunset.
We almost missed it.
And with that, we close today's...
I think that's it. They can't get any better than that. That's the best pick in the... pick of the year.
And you can dial it down from 720p. The live one is 720p, 360p, and 160p. You can go full screen on that. So this is like...
Look, here's cars moving in Boston, Massachusetts. You can actually... So it is live. These are vehicles driving down Route 95 or something.
You could use this as, pardon the phrase, your new screensaver.
There's Fenway Park. If there were a game going on, we could watch. Wow.
Yeah. But I'm really enjoying the Earth at night.
Yeah.
It's dark.
That's the live one.
It's dark.
It's well, you can see a little corona there.
Not for long.
But you know what's cool? You're going to see the sunrise. And in another 40 minutes, you'll see the sunset again.
What a world.
Wow. I don't know if you want to follow that, Matt. Danny, do you want to follow that? Or do you want to just go home?
No, I'm good.
Good. What's your pick?
Sunset. My picks are all depressing.
That's what I mean.
I was trying to find a fun pick.
That's what I mean.
I'll just keep this feed going while you're talking about whatever you're talking about.
That's more depressing than darkness.
If you want, since it's a Google thing, Amy on our staff did a really good post today looking at Google. You know, it does a lot of direct answers. So now you can search for stuff and it trying to put an answer right up there at the top of the page. And as they've expanded this, it tends to be making more mistakes. Either it's picking up answers for things where there's debates, or it can get wrong answers, or it can get not safe for work answers. So, you know, I'd suggest taking a look at her when Google gets a wrong article, because it looks at some of the challenges that they face when they're trying to pick one answer as opposed to the usual, we're going to give you the 10 blue links. You still get the 10 blue links that they've had out there before, but, you know, it's like if you do a search, one of the searches was like, does God love everyone? And it comes back with an answer, God only loves Christians. It's like,
nice.
Okay.
Hey, it can only do what's on the internet.
Yeah. You know, or I think this is still working this is my favorite. Let me see if it still works. If you search for King of the United States, please still work. Please still work. Please still work. Yeah, there we go. So if you search for King of the United States, it comes up as Barack Obama. And you'll see it's really dramatic. It's like this big, huge box, right? That's the King of the United States. And what happened was Breitbart wrote this article saying, all hail Barack Obama, Emperor of the United States. And so Google started listing that up. So a few months ago, we wrote about how that direct answer was showing up, and that turned us into the source.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's you know, it's wrong. And yet no one at Google's there reviewing this sort of stuff. And so as they've increased the number of direct answers that they provide, it's becoming easier and easier to find these kinds of really weird glitches. Another one, if you can type, like, what is 411? You'll either get an answer from AT&T. It looks like they killed that one. Yeah, it was coming up. Maybe if you do it as, like, what's 411? And it's not working there. The other thing, I don't know if you want to bring that up on screen. We came across this yesterday, was like hiccup cure. Pardon you, folks. Oh no, that one didn't go there too. So maybe
they're fixing it. They're fixing stuff. That's what it is.
Hiccups. Just stop hiccups.
Stop hiccups. Is this not safe for work?
Yeah, you should look away.
Look away.
No, it's not.
Oh, there it is. Oh, that one we talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and that, by the way, that does work. I tried it.
I mean, and it might be factually correct, but when you consider that this is a, you know,
it's not what you Google. This is a long-standing problem. Although I'm surprised it's not getting better. It's getting worse.
It's getting worse because people are going for the single answer.
Because they're doing it. They're Google bombing it.
But I mean, it's not because people are specifically going at it. There are people who are becoming savvier to the fact that you can optimize to become an answer.
Yes.
But it's because Google, the people at Moz have a service where they try to track how often certain features appear in Google search results. So about 7-8 months ago, you would get a direct answer maybe for 5% of the queries that you would search that they would check on Google. That's up to like almost 30% now. So the reason it's getting worse is because they're becoming more aggressive in where they're trying to find answers, but they're not coupling that with any kind of fact-checking thing. By the way, this is maybe a better thing too, but type in, let's see if this works, Leo Laporte. Let's see how famous you are. Laporte quotes.
Oh, God.
That's a good quote. Oh, God.
No.
All right, but let's try something else.
Not that famous, thank God.
Pick a famous person, like you can do Barack Obama quotes. And is that working? Yeah. So they've got a new thing now where you search people, you get quotes that they've said. And it is very nice. The only downside to this is they don't source any of the quotes. Because, hey, facts is facts, right?
But
That's what they say.
but not really, are they? No.
Not really, because sometimes, like, for example, if you searched for P.T. Barnum quotes, you'll see that he says, there's a sucker born every minute.
Right.
Right? Except he didn't say that. One of his competitors apparently said it about P.T. Barnum.
It was spurious.
But everybody says that he says it.
Right.
But everybody says he says it. So because there's no source and there's no context, you don't understand that, and that might have been useful to get. Or another one was like, if you type in Eric Schmidt quotes, you'll see the third thing is, hey, you got something you don't want anybody to know. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, well, he said that, though.
He did say it. But when did he say it? Why did he say it?
Right.
Who did he say it to? You don't get any of that context, which is what you would have gotten if they actually sourced some of this stuff.
Good point.
So, it's new, but some sourcing might be nice too. But it's still kind of cool.
They'll do that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now
I
back
like
to
it.
the sunset.
Yeah. Or sunrise soon.
Sunrise.
Good news just came in from Scooter X in our chat room. The Motorola 360 is being updated now. To 5.1.
Beginning to roll out.
It's
yes.
beginning to roll out.
What do I get with that?
You get lots of stuff. I've been using 5.1 on my Urbane. This is the one that adds Wi-Fi. It's amazing. Who knew?
I had that already on the Moto.
Well, the hardware was there, but now you can connect your watch to Wi-Fi, which means you can get data from your phone over your Wi-Fi network.
Leave your phone at home.
Good. That'd be cool.
Yeah. You also get the scroll where you twist the wrist scroll, which is only good for strap hangers or somebody who's, I find it very useful on the Segway because I need to keep one hand on so I can go like that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not on your throttle hand.
Yeah.
Right.
You can now
you
draw.
can send a smile thing.
Yeah, you could draw emojis. You'll really, the UI actually is much better because, in fact, can you do, I don't know if you can see you can kind of see it. So now I can slide over to applications, so you don't need a separate application launcher, and slide again to contacts. Not that you can make a phone call, but it's good for texting and stuff like that. Those are my favorites. So that is much improved, I think. A lot of the other stuff is pretty much the same, although I think watch faces can do more as well. Oh, and I know the always on is great, so let me show you.
That'll be handy.
Yeah, I don't, I need Google Keep on here for this to work because I think that's one of the few always on things, and I'm using Evernote instead of Keep as my, there it is. Let's launch Keep. Let's see. So this is nice because I use Keep for my shopping list, right? So
your house crap, apparently.
My house crap and my shopping. So there's my shopping list, right? But now when the watch goes to sleep, instead of going dark, it has an ambient mode for even apps. So the ambient mode for Keep will continue to show my list.
You can shop without ever getting off of your Segway.
It's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So this is I think a much wanted, much anticipated update. It's been out for the LG watches. LG updated all their watches, but we've been waiting on the Moto 360. I still think the Moto 360 is probably the best looking Android Wear watch. So if you've got one of those, get your update. Get your update. It's rolling. There's nothing you can do, right?
No, there's not much you can do
can't
about that.
force it. It'll just happen. But just make sure you have the latest Android Wear on your phone and cross your fingers.
You'll get it in the next week.
I also want
next week's episode of This Week in Google, you'll have it.
I mentioned the Android TV made by NVIDIA, the Shield. I haven't done a before you buy review. That's still to come. But it's $200. I like it. unfortunately, Android TV is missing some capabilities. There's no Amazon on there yet. I don't know why not. There really needs to be.
Yeah.
There is Netflix. And if you use the Google apps like Google Music, it's great with Google Music. It turns Google, your home theater will now do Google Music. If you use Netflix if you have a 4K TV for 4K video, it will support that 7.1 surround sound. They just pushed out an update that means pictures are also 4K, which is great. And that it's not a K1. I misspoke. It's an X1 processor, which is an incredibly fast ARM processor, and you can't play games on it. It comes with a controller, but you may also want to order the remote. Do not get the 500 gigabyte version for $300 because that's a lot for that storage. You can hook up. It has a USB port. You can hook up any USB drive. So a 3 terabyte drive for $100 is a much better deal than $100 for 500 gigabytes. And you can also put a micro SD, and that's what I did. I put a 128 gig micro SD in there. And by the way, unlike Android smartphones, it will automatically copy the apps to the SD. So you got lots of room for games.
So this is NVIDIA's version of Android TV.
It's Android TV, and I think it's probably the best one out there just because it's easily the most powerful.
And I like as opposed to, because I think I've got the Google Android TV that they sold directly, right?
Yeah, that little puck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think that was very good.
So this is just a more powerful version.
Much more powerful. Also more expensive. $200 is a lot compared to a Roku for under $100, Apple TV for $69.
You get a controller with it for $200?
You do get the controller.
Okay, so that's good.
And the controller has a microphone in it, and you can talk to it, much like Fire TV. So that's pretty good. It's nice looking. It's actually smaller than it looks. That makes it look kind of imposing. It's really just a little skinny little box. But I think they've done a nice job. This is it's game focused, you know. And if they add, I think if they added Amazon, it has Hulu, it has Netflix. If they added Amazon,
well, it's kind of cool. We went on, we went skiing back in February for the break, and I took the Android TV with me, and it was nice because, it was like less than trying to take an Xbox. Right. We had little games we could play or whatever, but it was sluggish in some cases.
Yeah, this is not.
Yeah.
You will never say this is sluggish. It has 802.11 AC MIMO, 2 and 5 gigahertz, fast processor, 3 gigs of RAM, and there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, you can use NVIDIA's Game Stream, which means you can play hardcore games streaming from NVIDIA's. I haven't done that yet, but I'll have to give it a try. It's Android 5.1. I like it a lot. It's pretty good. They just pushed out an update. So I think I'd probably recommend it, except for the price, which is $200 is a little a little steep for something that basically adds internet to your television. And it's not. I mean, Android gaming isn't the state of the art gaming that you'd expect with Xbox One. It's a lot cheaper than Xbox One.
It is NVIDIA, so you get some of the games that a lot of other Android folks wish they had access to, because NVIDIA kind of has
also a Chromecast.
Yeah, original.
Almost forgot to mention, it's a Chromecast, and it doesn't need to be configured. It just shows up. I decided to hardwire it to put an Ethernet cable in there, so I'm getting great performance. It's a great choice around that kind of stuff. It's great Chromecast device. In a way, everything, so many things Chromecast now. I mean, I can Showtime, Chromecast, Showtime, so many of the apps on my phone. I don't mind so much that all those apps aren't on. It's got HBO Now, but not HBO Go, but that's okay because HBO Go Chromecasts. Amazon does not yet Chromecast. I think Amazon and Google are going to be kind of like that, unfortunately. Isn't that frustrating?
Which is, I mean, I kind of wish Amazon would just
give up.
Embrace it. Well, not give up, but just embrace Android.
If Microsoft could
not try to run their own thing, but just jump in on it.
Yeah.
But, but then again, if you're Amazon, you're watching Google decide they want to be your shopping thing. Yeah, you're a little wary.
Yeah, that's true. All right, my friends, we're wrapping it up. Thank you so much, Mr. Danny Sullivan, SearchEngineLand.com, MarketingLand.com.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
He is the guy. He is the guy. You got to read his stuff. It's phenomenal. Mike Elgan's here also every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 UTC for Tech News Today.
Twit.tv/TNT.
That still works.
That still works.
So many things don't, but that still works. Right. Oh, man. We're working as hard as we can. We love the new, I hope you like the new website. I'm very happy with it, the design and so forth, but we understand there are some issues, particularly, I think the biggest issue for people right now is that when you want to download a single episode, there's an issue with these download buttons. We're working on that. We understand it's kind of a thorny issue because it has to do with how browsers respond to certain MIME types. Internet Explorer actually does it right.
Yeah.
But it's the only one that...
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming. It's the only one that does. But we're going to fix that. That's a #1 priority for us. But in other respects, I think it's just... I hope you like it. I'm very pleased, and I want to thank our developers at 4Kitchen for doing a great job. We will... You know, if you go to the site, twit.tv, browse around, click the Learn More button where it says, Welcome to the new website. Here is my long article about what's going on with this site, why the site is the way it is, what we did, why so much of the site is invisible. There's a lot more to this because we have a full API, which we're making public through our developer program. And we want to encourage anybody who wants to build anything from like a short little snippet that downloads the programs that you want to a full website to do it. The API is fully documented. There's a lot. It's very rich. You can get just about any kind of information you want about any of our shows from the API. So if you're a programmer, especially if you're a programmer and saying, I could do that site better, maybe I'll buy it from you. Twit.tv, the new twit.tv. Thank you, everybody. Hey, we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, about 1 to 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern Time. 23:30 UTC, live.twit.tv. Actually, I think that'll now go to twit.tv/live. So that's probably the best place to watch if you want to watch live. Yeah. We also put it up on all of the podcast places. They all have us. So if you want to watch, subscribe, and you'll get it every week. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.